Welcome to the April 2nd, 2018 Selectmen's meeting. Start off by the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Friendly assessment. Should Weare be chosen as a pilot community, and if not, to begin the information gathering process necessary for a long overdue revision of the town's master plan, including demographic, economic, environmental, and public opinion data. The committee shall be comprised of representatives of town government, of business persons, of social and service organizations within Weare, and of the broad demographics in Weare. The committee shall be appointed by May 1st, 2018, and produce a report of its findings to be delivered to the board by February 1st, 2019, shared by the board with the planning board and made available to the community at large. And since it had a date on there, to have the committee put together by May 1st, I thought if it wasn't on your radar, that I'd like to put it on your radar so it will happen. I don't think it's an easy task to put together a committee like this of all these varied groups, but I think it's possible. We did not get, if I'm correct, we did not get the grant, but they are going to have another round of grants, and I want to make sure that the board and the town administrator is aware of that, and that they will apply early and have really a completed grant, because I think that could be really great. There is no money attached to this as it stands. It's all volunteer. So I want to bring that up. I'm finished with that, and I have a second thing. Okay, I'm delighted to see Benji here. Because this somewhat applies to him. There have been a lot of articles in the newspaper recently about glass recycling. And many towns are stopping recycling of glass. And I believe that we do something with recycling. We don't send it out, and maybe Benji, when he comes up, he could talk about it. But if it's true that we use our glass recycling, I think it would be beneficial to have Benji state that, number one, and number two, that we put something on the website and maybe in the Little Weare Library newspaper that we're still recycling. But hopefully Benji be willing to address that. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Seeing that, we'll move on to department head committee items, and we recognize Chief Sean Kelly.
Mr. Chairman, I have many items in front of you tonight. If Director Knapp has only one or two, if you don't mind taking him first so he can get out of here.
I have quite a few too, so it doesn't matter. I really appreciate it, though, Sean. Thank you.
All right.
Short straw it is.
Okay, so let me start out, Selectmen, by apologizing to you. 2 weeks ago, I think it was 2 weeks ago, I left here with a sour taste in my mouth. I had taken a position with you about a radio communications issue that, though my staff had informed me correctly, I had interpreted their information incorrectly and took a position with you that was that ultimately created some tension in here that I apologize to you for. It was entirely my fault, and I take full responsibility for that. So in answer to your question 2 weeks ago, Rick, we are, as you may recall, we have been struggling with radio communications problems across the town, and Fire Chief Vizina and I have been trying to work with our vendors to find a reasonable, cost-effective way of resolving those without a singular, very expensive rebuild of the communications infrastructure. And the purchase that you asked me about 2 weeks ago was a Bluetooth connectivity item that is programmed into the mobile radio, which was installed by Ospey Mountain. So that is why we went to Ospey Mountain for that piece. And what that piece is intended to do is extend the range of the stronger mobile-based radio over what a portable radio would do. What we had some disconnect with the repeater system, that it's just, for whatever reason, R&R Communications has just not been able to resolve this for us. And the portable radios that the officers are carrying are not syncing up with or filtering correctly. Whatever the technical problem is, it's just not resolved. So we purchased that one unit to field test it for a couple of months before we make a decision about whether or not we're going to install them with all the cars. So there it is.
What's the range on that, Chief? Because I know Goffstown Fire has it. I've seen it used, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's not as far as we'd like, of course. It's a Bluetooth connectivity similar to what you might have with your MP3 player. It's only a maximum of about 120 feet, but that's 120 feet that we don't yet have. So this is...
You're not that far away on a car stop, quote unquote. If you,
hopefully.
right.
Yeah, right,
Hopefully.
Exactly. So, and the 120 feet of being able to have the same strength as your mobile radio it's important in a
Huge.
town of 60 square miles.
It's huge.
So again, I apologize for the rancor I caused here 2 weeks ago, and there it is.
Well, I think some questions came up with that, and I think a lot of questions were also answered within that. So, within that time span,
Okay.
of figuring everything out. So I appreciate the apology, and I think that, like I said, a lot of questions have been answered since then. So about the radios, anyways.
If you have answers, I want to hear them. Well, thanks. Thank you for letting me off the hook. So unless you have more questions about that, I do have a few other items. Okay, Naomi, do you care what order I go by?
I don't.
Okay, so some weeks ago, I brought forward a replacement agreement with Larmony Group that does our background investigations for. Okay, that does background investigations for us, and there was a concern that it did not have an end date. Pardon me. So we have gotten in touch with the owner, and thank you. And he has added language. I'll read it for you so that did I bring copies for everybody? I know I didn't. It was something else. All right. So he's added a paragraph. This contract begins on the date signed by the client and covers all work performed in 2018 and beyond as applicable. Agency or client may cancel this contract at any time for any reason, if done so by way of written notification to the other. Agency and client agree that this contract shall expire 1 year from the date signed if canceled in writing by either party. Is that sufficient for your purposes?
It was sufficient by town council.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because
there we go.
there's only one signature line, so you'd have to authorize the chair to, but you can leave that with me. We can do that later if you wanted. Or do you want to do it now and move on?
Boards?
Doesn't get it over. Make a motion that the chair signs a contract with Laramie Group LLC Investigative Services and retain.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
And then it'll have to go back.
For
Actually,
Tony's signature.
can
You
we
want
hold
to have
1
Tony sign it
second?
first?
Yeah, I'd like Tony to sign it first,
Okay.
just because things get lost in the shuffle, and if I'm the last signer, I can copy it for us, and that's what doesn't happen sometimes.
Okay.
So we can take the motion still, and then I can get back from Tony, and then I can get him to come in when he comes in on a weekly basis to sign it. I just,
Okay.
it gets lost in the shuffle if we sign first.
Great.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, so Larmony's out of the way. So we have actually 2 or 3 related pieces. I'll start with the big piece first. This is, we had talked some weeks ago about about the animal control officer job description, and you had wanted a few revisions and some questions answered relative to defining what kind of animals the animal control officer would be responsible for responding to calls for service, where we can partner with other organizations in terms of investigative responsibilities and animal care. So what you have in front of you is my most recent draft, and I've done that with the assistance I thank her very much for her patience with me. A woman by the name of Heather Faria, she's the executive director of Pope Memorial SPCA, which we will be talking about again in another minute. But so what you have there in front of you is this draft that the changes that you've asked for. If you look on page 2 at the bottom, it's highlighted there. For those this is new language added. For those calls for service involving the possibility of animal neglect, the animal control officer will request the assistance of the SPCA for investigation in cooperation with the sworn officer as applicable. And then in the next bullet at the top of page 3, there's additional language added as well. Did the copy allow that to be read there? Can you read it? Okay, then I don't see any reason to read it out loud. The essence of that change is to limit the types of calls that the animal control officer responds to in the first instance and the actions that they might take in the second. In other words, what we're trying to do is, and I agree completely with you on this, is we're trying to limit the animal control officer from being the state veterinarian. Simple as that, I guess. And the additional revisions on page 4 are also reflective of those changes. And similarly on page 5, all I did was make some revisions relative to some of the physical demands that would be placed on a person's ordinary things that you might see in a job description. Okay. So if you end up, after you review this, obviously you don't need to review it this moment, but if you do have questions, please direct them through Naomi, and I'll be happy to try and address them the next time we meet.
I think we were down to these last few things anyway, right?
I think we were, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're, what's here and highlighted is really what we were down to. I don't know there's any need to push it off.
Okay, then what I will do is I'll adopt it as policy this coming week.
If that's all right.
I just had one question. Wait a second. Okay. About the clothing.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is like shorts or something wouldn't be worn for fear of, possibility of getting scratched or whatever by an animal or.
Well, that's there again. There's a little bit of a philosophy thing, and I will certainly follow your guidance on this. This is one of those deals where if we require an employee to wear a certain type of clothing, we're going to provide the clothing. It's a statutory thing that anytime an employee is required to wear a particular garment, that we have to provide it as for safety reasons.
I think that, depending on what your the department directive is on that, it says right here that the assignment and complement with the applicable sections of the department directives governing uniform. So if your uniform policy says pants, then pants it is.
That's right. And our uniform policy talks about non-sworn employees and the types of outfits they're allowed to wear, and it's consistent with their assignment. So frankly, right now there's a little bit of wiggle room and flexibility. You got a 105-degree day. Do you want them wearing long pants? If you want them wearing, they're not going to pass out from the heat.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing. Okay,
I was
So-
just concerned about insurance
Well, I
problems.
think
yeah,
that-
and
That much they
this,
need to be identified as town employee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they are provided with a police department identification that does, and they have to have it with them at all times, and they have to present it when asked for it. Okay, that is part of our policy system. So, quite frankly, I would rather supply them with garments that, protective garments, but the thing is we don't have a budget for it. There's nothing in the budget to allow for
Is
it.
there, like even for a light jacket or something, wasn't there an ACO
Yeah, we can do that.
jacket? Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
And, I could provide them with a pair of jeans, find out what Director Knapp's vendor is on that type of, for those type of protective
Yeah.
garments, and we can provide it at relatively little expense, but right now, there's nothing separately budgeted for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so related to this,
so you're gonna adopt this as policy?
I'll take that, yep, I'll take care of that.
So it no longer appears on the agenda?
No.
Weeks in coming. Okay, so thank you, by the way, for all your work on that. This was as you well know, and certainly Beth Rouse and Naomi for all the work that they put into this revision. It has been many months coming, and I'm glad that we've gotten through it. So the other thing that you asked me related to the animal control officer was I had brought a contract between the town and Pope Memorial SPCA, and the chairman was concerned that version of the contract did not have an expiration date. This is the exact same contract with an expiration date.
I jumped the gun. And this has been checked by town council?
The original copy was.
Okay.
The date, we didn't think it was worth the $300 to have
That's
that-
fine.
the date put on it.
For the date put on it?
And Pope has seen this and they're okay with it?
Yes, they're the ones that did the work.
Okay. Oh, okay, even better.
And how long is that contract?
1 year.
Yeah, what's-
April 1st, 2019, I think it is.
It says that unless extended by the agreement of both parties or superseded by a subsequent agreement, this agreement will expire on April 1st, 2019.
There you go.
So
Is there just one signature line?
I believe that there is, yes. one
And that
second.
has been signed by Director Faria already.
Yeah.
When's the expiration again? I'm sorry.
April 1st, 2019.
Okay. So you need a,
I'm looking, entertain a motion for the chair to sign this.
Make a motion that the chair be able to sign the contract with Pope, SPCA, and Concord, or contract for, provide the town services for 1 year.
I'll second the motion.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
and if you don't mind, Sean, I'll take it and return it
Yeah.
to her. I'll scan it. Okay.
A copy for me is fine.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. You have one more?
Yeah, I have one item remaining,
Okay.
and that is asking for your approval to award a contract for the upfit of the new car that was approved by the voters on March 13th. We have sent out our specs to 3 companies. Those are Ossipee Mountain out of New Hampshire, MHQ, and Adamson Industries out of Massachusetts. Let me just double check that. Haverhill, Mass, and
What was the middle one?
MHQ.
MHQ.
Filled out some of it.
Okay.
Dates and addresses and stuff.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, so anyhow, there are 3, they're identical apples to apples quotes. I know that's important to you. It certainly is to me. And what they've come back with three different prices. Adamson Industries is $17,087. MHQ is $14,133.93. And Ossipee Mountain is $14,968.10. My recommendation is that we go with the New Hampshire company, simply and only because they're a New Hampshire company. I would rather do business in New Hampshire if we can. It's about 700 and some change more, but frankly, I'd rather do business with a company that we've already done business with, and it's right here in New Hampshire.
Now, I know last year there was some confusion back and forth. Does that also include a new radio system?
That is inclusive of all the things that were problematic last time, including Lori, including for lack of better terms, the stickers.
Oh,
That's
graphic
everything's on.
Decals.
Yep, the decals. Everything's on there.
I just saw an invoice for the upfit of the 4G modems. Does that also include in that bid? For the other three, we put the 4G modems and antennas on.
I would have to double check on that.
Well, I just want to make sure
don't
that when
have
it
an
comes in,
answer
it's turnkey. Well, push button, I guess. Now.
right,
Push
and that's
button, ready to go.
part of this process is, and one of the reasons that I prefer to go with OSPI is that they do it the same way every time. And
they've done our other three.
Right, exactly. When an officer gets in a car, they shouldn't have to try and relearn the car before they go take a call. So that's my recommendation, though it's a few $100s more. I recommend going with the OSPI Mountain bid.
Move to accept the OSPI Mountain bid for $14,968.10 to upfit the new Dodge Charger.
Second.
Motion made second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Is that 5?
5.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, that concludes my business unless you have something else for me.
Board? Safe travels.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
All yours.
That wasn't that long.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, thank you.
And the board will recognize Director Benji Knapp, DPW.
Didn't want to climb this time.
Well, I guess we probably ought to start out with the new hire, so you can go home if he wants. That suit everybody. And then I can give you a quick update. I haven't seen you guys for a few weeks. Congratulations to Ricky and Sherry for the election, and look forward to moving ahead in a positive direction. So we've been looking for a new assistant secretary. We posted this some time ago. We'd been waiting because we wanted to see what the town vote was gonna be, so we knew how many hours we were gonna have. Just to be clear, the highway department has always had at least a 30-hour-week secretary. The town combined things when things got tough, and now it's time to separate them again, and I'm actually gonna suffer about 10 hours for a while. No comments have been made that I'm making a new position. This is something we had at least back when Lloyd Bailey was here, if not further, so. We had 6 candidates. Since we waited too long, 2 chose other jobs, so we interviewed 4. They all were great interviews, and probably would have all done the job just fine. In the end, I felt that Joe Sarno would be the best fit for the job. He kind of knows the works of the department anyway, and I know that we would get along very well. So, you want to come up, Joe? I'm asking that we hire Joe, starting out at $15.50 per hour, 20 hours a week, and after his probation period, would go to $15.71 an hour, and he would start Friday, which is the first day of the next pay period. So, if there's any questions by anyone. Joe is a former employee of the DPW, so.
I move that the town hire Joe Sarno to be the DPW Secretary Assistant.
Sure.
At a rate of pay of $15.50, with an increase to $15.71 after probationary period, for a time of 20 hours per week, beginning on Friday. I don't know what the date is.
April 6th, I'm sorry, yep, sorry about that, yep. 2018, yep.
I think that covers it.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Joe. Welcome
Thank
aboard
you all.
again.
Welcome back.
Okay, yep, good luck.
So I have a few things. We did, the backhoe deal, I guess is kind of a different deal. We need to discuss that. The truck bids and body bids were open today.
What are you gonna do first? I have the backhoe stuff.
I would just soon do that first. Would you guys want to do the bids first or discuss the?
This is
I
your
have
floor time.
recycling comments also, so I'm glad that Helene brought that up.
Let's go over the backhoe first.
Okay.
Back.
Okay, so the backhoe, the town approved to buy the backhoe that we've been renting. With 80% of the rental money being applied towards the price. And I know last week, or week before when I wasn't here, it was asked about the extended warranty. That was part of the price. Was the so the extended warranty is 5 years, 5,000 hours. I asked if that was the best they could do. They said they could, there's one more option, do 5 years, 7,000 hours.
Yeah, we'll never
You'd
get there.
never do that.
No.
And that would be an increase of $1,608, and it would never happen if you let it run day and night. So, a little bit of good news is it actually come in $457.31 cheaper than what we planned on. So
Yeah, we
it's
go.
always good to save money, so.
No, the only reason I raised that question, Benji, is because it wasn't on the one that we had.
No, that's
And I
fine.
says, I just wanna make sure.
The way they did the paperwork wasn't how I would have liked it. But I think the one that Naomi has to pass around you guys is a little more put together.
I think we can both agree with the electrical systems and the emission systems that any
What?
warranty is worth its weight.
No,
in
I
gold.
agree 100%, definitely.
And now the first, there's a couple things here for us to sign. Benji, we don't have to sign just for the broom's part of this one.
Should be part of the whole package.
So,
So along with the backhoe came a hydraulic broom and a set of pallet forks. That was all part of the original number all along. And
so here's the, they highlighted where, and it does show, the right there, the warranty, I guess you can read through the fine print if you'd like to, but it was here. You guys can, I'm just gonna pass it down. It just says that we have the warranty, but, I also, with that comes, you didn't have it in your box to sign under the manifest. Oops, you included it in the manifest.
I hope so.
The backhoe?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was in there. It's a supplemental.
Okay. Because you need to, capital reserve, that's where it went. Then there is two, and here's the check that we did Nortrax, but it can all go down together.
Two signers, it says purchaser first and second.
Yeah, it's up to you guys, however many, if you wanna squeeze all your names on there, you can.
I'll own it, right?
But that's, you need to do it, that's just the, to buy it with a warranty, and then you still have the capital reserve fund when it comes out
Yeah,
of,
see, they said decline.
and then the check that's gonna pay for it,
Zero,
which is on the next two sheets.
Zero. It was included in the price. So, with the broom and the broom and the forks, it went up. That's why that number is different from last year.
Okay. I thought he said it was included though.
Total price for the whole thing is that.
Yeah, I asked
But
for
they applied that rental.
95, well, I didn't bring that part, but I'd asked for whatever the 95,
94862.
okay, it came in 94,862.
But the warrant article is written for more than what's there.
So you have, yeah, exactly 110,973 is just the item. The broom is 10 inch, the power angle broom is that much. And the pallet fork is that much.
Okay, so
Coming
the
to that
broom wasn't in the original,
Was
Not,
in, it
not from last year.
not from last.
was in what I asked the voters for, yes,
For this year.
Oh, maybe.
It is, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, well, not in the old one, didn't, because the broom and the forks
Right.
weren't
Right,
available.
because we weren't
right.
renting the broom.
We didn't
We
rent the
didn't pay
broom and the
anything for the
forks.
broom.
Right.
But when I asked to buy it, it would be included with the overall purchase. We haven't been renting any forks or broom. They're still at Nortrax until you guys sign it.
Discussion myself and Selectman Snyder are having, or the fact that the quote that we have from last year, the number on there is only for the backhoe itself, nothing else on it. But this current one in my hand that we have today to sign for the unit we have also includes the power broom and the pallet forks, as the director discussed, bringing the total up a little higher, but at the end of the day, lower than what was requested at town meeting by $400.
$457.
I tried to figure that number exact, so I'm
Right.
happy that it was us.
Right. So, just clarification is all it was.
The only motion you need, is to sign the extended warranty. Now, there is 2 places.
It's also the P&S, right? Purchase and sale.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
I entertain a motion.
Make a motion authorize the chairman to sign the purchase and sales agreement with Nortrax for the backhoe, including hydraulic broom and pallet forks for a total of
$4,862,
$94,863.
$62.69.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Ricky, if you want to sign it, I could print everything else.
Yep. And next.
On to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So we opened the truck and the truck to be equipped with plow equipment bids today.
Ricky,
Thanks, everybody.
you missed the top initials.
Initials on.
Yep.
I must thank Beth for helping me type these up, because my keyboard decided not to work today.
Or your mouse.
Or mouse.
He was
She did most
stressing.
of my work for me. The only thing, only helping open the bids and take notes. Appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. So 3 different trucks were bid, a Western Star, a Kenworth, and a Mack. The Western Star Kenworth is pretty close. Mack, I think, is high enough, it doesn't need much discussion.
Should be the box. It's in the box.
It came down to $1,000 really, if you count all the warranties in. Western Star has quite a bit more warranties. So let's forget about the warranties for a minute. Western Star was $115,533. Their trade allowance for the truck and trading in $7,000 for a grand total of $108,533. The Kenworth was $122,089. Their trade allowance was $8,500 with a total of $113,587. Kenworth's extended warranty was $2,885, and that was for a 5-year engine after treatment warranty on the PACCAR MX. The Western Star mimicked last year's, which was 7-year, I have it right here too. 7-year, 150,000, full coverage. Was on the motor and after treatment. a 60-month unlimited on the Allison, and a 60-month unlimited on the Carriers. That extended warranty came to $6,887. That's how it came out to $115,420. So I guess I would recommend the Western Star, although it's so close. Is there any discussion on it? We have a Kenworth and we have a Western Star too, by the way, so I really don't have a preferable one, to be honest with you. They're both good trucks. So I was happy these three bid. Any of these three would make a great snow fighter. If you get rid of the warranties, Western Star is a few thousand cheaper. So their warranties are more money because it's quite a bit more warranty.
Board discussion?
I'll make a
My
motion
benefit,
that we
Yep.
award the bid to Western Star for the truck at $115,420.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain.
Oh, you're gonna abstain?
I'm gonna abstain, since I work for the Kenworth dealer.
Oh, gotcha.
The next one I think's a little easier, but I've been wrong before. That's to equip the truck fully to make a cabin chassis into a plow truck, as we see on the road. All labor parts, pretty much the same thing we got. I think I changed, I didn't like the sander controller, so I got a different one this year.
Thank you.
And since the wings always rust out before anything else happens, I put a stainless steel wing skin on this time. And it still came in less money than last year, so. That's a good thing, but it makes it hard when I ask you, the town people for money. It makes it look like I'm overinflating, but you always expect things to go up, and sometimes you're pleasantly surprised, so. Tenco, HP Fairfield, and Donovan Equipment all bid. Tenco bid a Tenco, HP Fairfield bid Everest, and Donovan bid Monroe. Donovan Equipment was $84,827. HP Fairfield was $76,651. And Tenco was $69,907. And they were the low bidder, and I have 12 of those bodies, so I would like to go with Tenco.
That's the heavy duty body again, like.
That's the same one, all
Hard
hard
ox.
ox, everything. Yep. Only thing you'll notice different if you walk by the truck is the wing will have a stainless steel skin on it. Other than that, you won't be able to tell them apart.
Move to accept the bid from Tenco for a bid total of $69,907.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who was the,
I'm sorry.
who was the Monroe?
Monroe was
Donovan.
Donovan Equipment. I have one more that was spur of the moment. It wasn't spur of the moment at all. Getting the prices was today because they had the wrong email, I guess. So about 3 weeks ago, I got a call from Mr. Cal Williams. Said that he heard a loud alarm going off that he never heard before, about 4 in the morning. So I went down to see, and it was the alarm that you don't want to hear going. Lets everybody in the neighborhood know that the sewer pumps are not working. So that's exciting at 4 in the morning. Things are dark and it makes an awful noise. So I got in, turned the lights on, and got it switched over to a pump that was working. The emergency number that's been in that building since it was built was AAA Pump Service. That's who every public works director's called an emergency, so that's who I called. That's who's updated that panel, everything in there. So they come out, because we can't be having them not work. So I called them to come evaluate, and they pulled both pumps. One was working, one's not. One's froze up. So I asked, they suggested putting a new one in. Now Tim had a brand new one put in 2015. Pump 2, the one that's working. This is pump 1. So they took it back to shop and was going to see if just simply something was stuck in it or if they need rebuilt. It needs to be rebuilt, but it's not recommended. So I should back that up. Doesn't need to be rebuilt. It's no good. To rebuild that pump would be $3,660.46. nearest they can tell. They didn't tear it apart. They said, we don't believe that it's worth doing, and if we get in there and it needs new casing parts and stuff, it's gonna double. So I'm not really in favor of doing that. So I asked what the price would be to put a matching pump like the one that's in there.
A rebuilt or a new?
It's new.
Brand new.
The price without labor, the labor will be hourly, was $6,588.93. They have to, that's for one pump. And last time they had to upgrade the motor contactor and the motor overload. So they put that in that price because they're assuming they're gonna have to do that. So I looked up that pump and got prices, two other prices for the pump, and they came in a little less. One was $52,1670 and one was $51,6390. But if I bought those, I'd still have to find somebody to install them. I'd have to hope that they're exactly the same, even though the serial number is the same. Not that it's like my air compressor episode that I had. These guys are the ones that installed them before. They know it's the right one. I would like to have them do it. I know probably really should be more apples to apples. I can look for two other companies to be interested in installing it. When I called that lady on the phone, because you have to manually, you can go push pump 2 or push pump 1 and lock it in for now, but when it's psyched, see those pumps alternate. So this one kicks on, pumps it down below the float, and then it kicks off. Supposed to kick off. Next time it asks for a pump to come on, the other one pumps. So they're supposed to have somewhat equal hours on them. So you gotta go in the box and you gotta lock them on. She knew more about what I was looking at in the panel on the phone than I did, and I stand in front of it. Because they're the one upgraded that system.
They know it.
I think back when my brother was here a long time ago. Tim used them. I don't know them personally. I just know they're always the ones that do it. So I would ask that we could get this going. Right now we're running that sewer station on one pump. It's 2015 it should run, but boy, we'd be in a mess if it didn't. And there's 3-week lag time on this pump coming in, so if I put it off any further.
What's the warranty on that?
I don't know. I think I looked earlier today too and didn't see a warranty.
Are the funds in that account, in that sewer maintenance?
It will be, because
It'll be-
What happens with the
It'll be
sewer is they're all
It'll be
redistributed.
Right.
Technically, it isn't
Right.
gonna be money out of taxpayers' pockets, just sewer payer pocket.
Right.
And we should have had a spare. That was, I will share that blame. When Tim had the new one put in, we didn't get one, and I was notified we should have one, and I didn't get one, and so now next year, I'll probably give it a year so I don't whale the people that are paying that with 2 pump bills, but I'll probably ask to buy one next year so it sits on the floor. It'll all be fixed, and I wouldn't even have to be in here bothering you folks. Because they're the ones took the old one out, cut the wires. I mean, so the new one's got to be wired in and everything. So
Now, is there, I don't want to sound ignorant here, but is there any kind of maintenance program that we can get into with them for trying to prevent fatalities like this of the pump, or is it just the age of the pump?
just the age. They didn't even know how old it was. They are old pumps, very old pumps. Or that pump is. The other one's.
The other one's, yeah, a couple years old.
We were bound to figure that out whether you got a phone call or
Yeah,
not.
2 more days. I would have known. I'd have looked like I knew something. I'd known it already. Because 2 days after that alarm went off, we got an electric bill for that place, and it wasn't.
Oh,
nice.
my.
The electric bill is
I know.
$900.
Right.
Ooh,
But that was 2 days after the alarm. If the electric bill
Right.
would come in first, it could have
yeah,
caught it.
been a
We
flag
could've
to
caught
go
it.
down,
Smart,
yeah,
but-
see
So
what's
just
going on.
running.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and it just, that's what happened. So we ought to get it rectified and before we have other issues.
Board discussion?
I know that AAA is basically the only game in town, and they do 90% of all the municipal stuff anywhere in the state
For the sewers?
for sewer, pump work for that.
They did tell me, I did call and ask if there was a core for that. And they said, no. If I wanted it back, I could take it to scrapyard. It's kind of nasty. I just let them keep it. Cause you gotta have a boom truck to set it and everything. I, for about half a second, considered buying one, and sure me and my mechanic could do it, but that's high voltage, and let the experts do it. 7,000, 6,500, let someone install it properly.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna pay.
And that
Well,
quote's also
that's
with labor.
vital anyway.
So you're gonna pay what, $5,000?
That quote's not, the installation's time and material,
Oh, okay.
which shouldn't be any material other than a piece of cord.
Yeah,
Connectors.
some wire. Yeah, maybe a couple bolts.
But the time will be, I'm sure, a couple guys for 2-3 hours. Which would be, I don't know, you guys paid the maintenance bill last week, it would be, I think we get $50.
Board discussion?
I could pass this around if you'd like. This is the official quote that we need. One individual.
I mean, I think we have to do something. I'd rather give it to the vendor. I know it's a little bit more, but on the flip side of it too is they're gonna own the product.
I called them back and told them that I found them cheaper, and they laughed. They said, I don't know about that.
Right.
So it makes me wonder what's missing, not being an expert
Well-
on it, I don't.
Shipping, maybe?
Yeah, I don't.
I'm sure
coming
by
up.
the time
And I'm
you,
sure it's a big pump. It's gonna
by
be
the time
truck
you
shipped.
pay
So
the
Yeah, they're heavy.
pump here.
There's a couple
It's
$100
coming
bucks.
FOB, it's about,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So it's gonna be a couple $100 on its own. So we're getting close to that number. So.
Yeah.
and that's not counting the installation.
It's the labor.
No, it ain't a cheap deal and it happens. Thankfully, it don't happen very often. And
But
thankfully,
it's something we can't live without.
Right. I'll throw it out there. Move to award the bid to AAA Fay Electric, $6,500, $6,588.93 to replace pump one in the town sewer pump house.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Wow.
Just try and get it out. Try and hand you the paper too.
Wow, she's taking over.
Touche.
That's right.
so I believe that is it as far as asking to spend money.
You're gonna talk about, talk about
I'm
recycling?
kind of glad that recycling was brought up because we have a paper issue that I was gonna just bring to your attention. Paper is taking a dive and it's not looking good to come back. So you're gonna notice that the recycling income this year is not gonna be that good, and that's why. Right now we're paying to get rid of paper and it's gonna continue to get worse. There may be a point in time when the numbers go the other way that we just haul it to the burner, but I hope not. I'll keep an eye, as long as we're spending less than it costs to haul it to the incinerator, I'll continue to haul it where we're hauling it.
Does that include the cardboard too, or just?
No,
paper?
just paper,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
paper. Cardboard's as good as it's been in a year. There's one thing that's really killing a couple of recyclables, glass and paper, and that's single stream recycling. That's been one of the worst things to ever hit the recycling world because it's nasty. People throw everything together and somebody has to sort that out. And mixed loose paper takes the biggest hit, and that's what we have. And we're one of the few communities that does it the way we do it. We don't bail, we don't have any extra manpower. So it's great how we do it. I'm not gonna even suggest bailing it. That's another baler, we don't have the people. And then it's only the paper like you folks have, no shiny magazines, no nothing. That would still all go dump, so. China's not buying it and single stream is really killing it. So we'll just keep an eye on it and I'll let you know if we have to start hauling it somewhere else, but. I've checked around too, it's not that I'm just taking in RA's word. I've checked around other transfer stations, called their vendors, they don't want it. So you'll notice their cycling numbers maybe won't be that good. Iron's on the way up. As long as fuel goes up, plastic will be good. It's one of those things, it kind of follows petroleum, some of that stuff, so.
What about the plastic? We used to be able to recycle 5 and 6s, but
Used to do 1s through 7s all in one baler.
Yeah,
They
but
won't
you know-
take it.
they won't take it at all. Not even if it's sorted, they won't take it.
No, we had 3s through 7s when I started, and it took us 6 months to get 0 pennies per pound.
Wow.
And it's petroleum, so I guess if you pray for fuel to go to $5 a gallon. That's when we were getting 1s through 7s. That's when we were bailing it. Fuel was $4 a gallon for diesel. So I'd just soon throw it in the trash and pay $100 to fill my pickup up. 1s and 2s, which is what we do now, separated, is where the money is.
Now, what about the glass?
Because I was there when we did 1s through 7s. I think John was too. And it was great. It was less labor. Everything went in one baler. I loved it myself.
It was,
But
never sat there.
glass is something that's been talked about for 100 years. And I don't think it'll ever get any better. Nobody wants it.
Have you
The
tried
only thing that
crushing it?
Yeah, that's what we do with it.
You run
So
through the
DES
crusher?
says you gotta manage it, right? So as long as you crush it and it can't store water, I guess, is their reasoning, I don't really know, it's managed.
Have you tried crushing it with that, his name down south Weare, that crusher
Yeah, that's who does it.
hammers it and then try to use it in the gravel?
We have. And when we used to do it every year, we'd use it every year, and it was manageable. When I showed up, none had been used in 5 years, and I got a mountain of it. So it's gonna be hard for me to get rid of it all, because you gotta find a big hole to put it in. All my tailgates on my trucks leak, you know, except for my 2 newer ones, so then you strudel it up the road, and you're going up and cleaning it up, that's the downfall. If I do big box outs or, you know, big culverts that we know we're never gonna see it again, we put it in. But I was left with so much, I don't know if I'll ever use it all, but it's managed. That will be one of my crushing quotes I bring into you folks sometime this spring, is to crush what we have down there. I have to crush it. So yes, to your question, we are recycling it. We're gonna continue to recycle it because it's very heavy, so it adds a lot of weight to the trash. So I don't wanna haul it to the incinerator. The incinerator don't want it because it doesn't burn. It makes a big hot blob in the bottom of their furnace. So I can gonna continue to do what we're doing. So we're recycling it.
And using it the best you can.
Yeah, I didn't know people had stopped. I guess they don't want it in the trash. I can't believe that incinerators letting towns openly say I'm gonna throw it in the trash. Because the only 2 colors that have ever been, if you want to call them colors, ever been worth money are clear, which isn't a color, but and like the pretty ones, right? Blue. But what color is most of your beer bottles? Brown.
Brown.
And what happens when someone throws a glass bottle over the edge? You know, it breaks. So, we were very close to buying our own glass crusher and be fed with a skid steer once. That would be nice to do. Could manage it on a Thursday they have off. We had a chance to get one from Henniker. It fell through. Probably won't ask to buy a new one, but I'm going to keep my ears open. Someone gets rid of another one. That'll save costs there. The rest of the recyclables are doing okay. Iron keeps going up little by little.
Any plans at all with the scale of them?
I don't know. I haven't had, to be honest with you. They're very expensive. I think we're going to be forced into it someday with the demolition.
I know contractors that I talked with, that first thing out of their mouth, when you gonna put scaling?
Yeah, I know. But it's a lot of money,
It is.
and it's very close. The money we take in and the money we spend is pretty close. So I think the guys is figuring, and it always has been, was when I was there and was when you were there. There wasn't $1,000 difference from what got, it wasn't that much, from what we took in to what we paid to get rid of that whole load. So that's not too bad of a tape measure, and a truck scale's a lot of money, not to mention maintenance.
And real estate.
Right. So I'm gonna hold off as long as possible
You
on
gotta
it.
dedicate one person to be a scale master.
Yeah, it's a
Train 'em.
pain. We have a little one, so we keep track for bales, small amounts of demo. There's an argument, but trucks and trailer loads it. You don't see a lot of big contractors come in anymore. Them dumpsters are so cheap. They throw all their trash and everything in it, you know, their
Couple $100
paper,
and
their
they're gone.
bottles, everything, and it's gone. We're not allowed any trash, so they gotta sort it all out. They don't like that. So. Other than that, highway department's just been trying to keep trucks running, roads smooth. We've been band-aiding the dirt roads with crushed gravel to get over the potholes till we can grade them. Pothole patching on the pavement. Hope summer's here soon.
Did you want to know about a maintenance contract on the pump? I know there wasn't.
Yeah.
Do you want to look into that? Is
What's
that-
that?
Yeah, some kind of maintenance clause or maintenance agreement with AAA. come down for the pumping systems as a whole. I don't know if there's parts they can replace on an annual basis that would
I
be,
can ask.
that would be worth our time or not.
Yeah.
If it is, then maybe we can, review it. If not, if they say no, it's kind of one
I
of the
think they're
things.
gonna tell me as long as everything's running fine that no, but I'll ask them that question. I'd be
That's-
happy to ask them.
Yep. And if you just want to let Naomi know,
Yep.
she can let the board know that.
Yep,
We'll be into that.
no problem.
Can you go a little bit, not too far in depth, but a little bit in depth about the road plan
Yep.
from here on out?
So this summer, we're gonna do the second half of Mountain Road, and I've been looking at it really hard, because I got a lot I want to do with the money that I have. So we need to top coat what we based last year. There's one spot between Colucci's, if you know where they live, and Bogue Road that's bad. Other than that, there's a lot of roads with worse pavement in town than that one. So
Yeah.
I reconsidered grinding that, maybe just taking our excavator. That isn't very far if you go up.
No.
You can see the length of it.
Yeah,
You're up.
800 feet maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And digging that pavement up. The reason it's pothole, and I don't care what you do, it's gonna stay potholes, because it's the road, the edges are higher than the road is on both sides. And the stone walls, so you're not gonna have to build the road up 6 feet and get the water to shed off. Only reason you get potholes, dirt, tar, concrete, is because there's water. So I'm gonna back right up. We're gonna change all the culverts, do our drainage. And I was gonna start right at the bridge on Perkins Pond Road and pave all the way to Cranberry.
That's pretty
And
bad
that will
road.
be a brand new road from the bridge to there. That's the only way for them people to get home after work, is up Perkins Pond, out Mountain Road, for
Yeah.
1/3 of our community.
I see that
so
catch
that'll
basin
all
starting
be
to
new.
collapse quite a bit.
Yeah,
right
it's
there.
starting to sink. And you get the best price on pavement when you bundle them together. So by waiting a year to do Perkins Pond, not gonna gain nothing, because it's only 900 tons, 800 tons maybe. So nobody wants to come up for 2/3 of a day of work. And then, well, it very strongly depends on pavement prices. I want to do another 6,000 feet on Reservoir Drive, and I'd like to do about that on Reservoir Drive. I don't want to do about that much on River Road. So,
Shimmin overlay.
yeah. That would go up around the corner, up over the big hill on River Road where we had the flood damage way back and stuff. That's kind of, other than the south end, that kind of needs to be ground up. That's about the worst part of the river now. I know the south end's awful, but that needs more than just a Band-Aid. We know that piece of River Road all the way from 77 to the top of the hill is good material. We don't even have to ask. That was done by Army Corps. It came right out of the pit right there in the 60s. So I know that's good gravel. So there's no sense in tearing that up. That was my thought once upon a time, but it's been packed down by trucks for 40 years. You're not going to get any better compaction than it is right now.
Now, you have a plan in place once your secretary assistant comes on to do a full town evaluation of the
I
road
want to. I hate to say I promise in case it don't happen, but that's the plan. All the paved roads. I know you guys have gotten comments, and I certainly have, about subdivisions. That's a hot topic. And we're gonna have to decide where the happy medium is, because I don't believe whether we do it or we farm it out, there's ever time and money enough to rebuild every subdivision, and that's what they need. Every last one of them was done without any overseeing. Like, people just collecting checks, and they're terrible. Anything done from 90 and earlier was, I always joked that I think they had a good deal on green clay, because every one I dig up's got green clay under it, but we'll bring ideas forth. You know, I know Bogue Road's a perfect example. That's probably the roughest one in town. It and Adelaine's close. Pine Hill's not much better. That's a long road to reclaim, gravel,
Oh, yeah.
and repave.
Pine Hill?
While Bogue is one I was
Bogue.
talking about.
Bogue is the
Pine
one.
Hill's just as bad.
Yeah.
Is that the right thing to do? Sure it is, but we were gonna spend a lot of money. So I'm gonna evaluate them and bring suggestions forth. That'll leave me 6,000 feet. If pavement comes in, I can do 6,000 feet of reservoir. That'll leave me 6,000 feet, and reservoir will be all done, other than the first few hundred on this end. that's, I kinda have like 3-4 roads in town. Up here, I have as the main routes. One's Mountain Road, one's River Road, one's Reservoir Drive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a couple others, Twin Bridge and Gould Road and stuff, but those are my 3 main thoughts, the main roads. And so Mountain's gonna be brand new, Reservoir's gonna be almost new by next year. So then I thought we'd start doing the off on the side roads, but.
Yeah.
In bad shape, just isn't money there. I know that isn't the answer anybody wants to hear, but it's
Right.
just, I mean, it's millions of dollars to do all of those. And if we start reclaiming them, it's gonna be tens of millions, because we can only do about 1.5 miles, so you're gonna farm that all out, and geez, you're gonna be up $750,000 a mile. Have contractors do it. So, then I'll either have to run around and oversee them, you're gonna have to hire an overseer, because that's how they got this way in the first place. So, I mean, that's why I like doing my own road work, because I'm the one that has to answer for it, so I'm not gonna cheap out on you. But we can't do something of that magnitude.
No.
And I don't think you'd have to have half a dozen contractors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Yeah, unfortunately, I know it's gonna be a large sum of money to do, you know, everything that we need.
And
to
I was
do.
gonna bring it forth and, you know, if we get it put together, that's great, and just offer it to the voters. I mean, it's their roads.
But that's just
We
it.
don't like plowing it either. We save so much more on salt and stuff when it's a new road, because you just put a little bit out, you can scrape all that snow off,
Yeah.
or you gotta salt it.
Yeah, no, and that's exactly it. Like I said, it's gonna be a large sum, but I think if you know, when you know, because I know you're gonna do it eventually. You know, maybe not this year or whatever, but you know, when we get that road evaluation under our belt, we can have a firm number on how many miles we need to do of what.
Right.
So.
Yep.
Very good.
I wanna still get into road preservation someday. I would love to be able to do a little bit of chip coating and overlaying of good roads, you know? Every town's in the same boat where we don't have any money, but we build a road and we let it go completely to pot before we ever look at it. You
That's
know,
where
other
ours
parts
are.
of the country,
Yeah.
they chip coat a brand new road. I would love to chip coat a mile to prove that what you gain, but it's hard to say I'm gonna spend 50 grand on a road that I paved last year when you're tearing the ball joints out of your car on yours, you know? I mean,
Right.
it's a tough bill to sell.
It's a tough sell.
Well, I'm sure there's other people in here who want to turn, so I'll get out of your hair if everybody's.
Board
all
have
set.
anything else for directing that? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Before he goes, you probably need to make
Yeah.
spend the capital reserve money. I know you did the backhoe, but it's gotta come out of here to pay for it.
Can we move that?
You should move that, so that, I know you've signed it,
Yep.
so,
Okay.
Make a, well, this for the back, this is for the back.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Make a motion that the, capital reserve money be taken to pay the backhoe, it's out of the, highway equipment capital reserve for $94,862.69 for backhoe, forks, and hydraulic tool.
I'll second it. Motion seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
And do we need to do the truck stuff too, or no? But that's coming out of CRF.
Yeah, we didn't get them.
Yeah, that's coming out of capital reserve too.
But we already moved those. didn't we?
You awarded the bids.
Also, we
So-
haven't got them.
Okay.
I mean, you probably should take it out, but you don't have to pay for it. We can do
Yeah,
that
okay,
online.
okay.
All right.
Thank
you,
you.
sir.
Thank you.
Benji.
All right. And up next on the docket, we have committee reappointments.
All right, I have notified all the people that are listed there.
Mm-hmm.
I have the volunteer program as well as the ethics form signed by all of those listed,
Okay.
and I've listed the committees on the agenda.
Okay.
It's entirely up to you. You want to do them one at a time. I just felt they should appear that way. How would you like to do that?
I think we can move them independently.
Yeah.
Or,
Do you want to see these?
as the board's feelings, move them independently.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just gonna jot them down right here.
All right. Move to reappoint Frank Bolton as a full member of the planning board for a term of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to reappoint Neil Kirk, full member of the planning board for a term of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me just keep going down the list. Okay. Move to appoint Jack Dearborn, full member of the zoning board for a term of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Move to appoint Mark Moret as a full member of the zoning board for a term of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to appoint William Bolton as a full member of the Conservation Commission for a 3-year term.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move to appoint John Lawton as a full member of the Cable Committee for a term of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, just moving right along. Thank you. April 2nd, we said we would finalize the part-time custodial position. That's why it's sitting here on the agenda for tonight. Have we done any more homework? We talked a little bit about excluding the stone building. We talked about the custodian not having to facilitate any moves of furniture, tables, etc.
Right.
Wasn't a whole lot.
I think that was the only two things we did.
Yeah, those are only a couple.
Those are the only two things we got to. But other than that,
Oh, the days too,
yeah.
That was the
Monday through Friday.
You gonna stick to the
holidays.
days, or you just gonna say weeks? I mean, they should because I'll be honest with you, I sat and babysit a furnace for a weekend.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't
Exactly.
happen just Monday through Friday.
Right.
My husband
No, I
and I
agree,
came
it
up
should
at
be
all
open.
hours.
Yeah,
So,
it should be kind of open with an hour limitation more so than day limitation.
right, which
Several hours each day.
and leave it at
Could
that,
be.
and to cross off the times, the Monday through. What the large thing boils down to is time. The default budget gets you 10 hours a week.
And it's unfortunately it's 10 hours a week. I have to
Yeah,
believe.
We were gonna look at the default, what were we gonna look at?
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, I
right
think-
now, I will just share, in my report that you're gonna see that this week, you saw when you came in, and Dave Huey did a good job of putting all those little,
Stair
Oh, the
yeah, the stair
strip
treads.
Yeah.
He also changed light bulbs, and he also fixed the closer that was ready to fall on someone's head. So all I did was ask him if he would do those things, which he came in and did. You'll see it next week at 11 hours. He doesn't want to be tied to a position, he doesn't want to be on call, but at the same time, you know, we have somebody that will help us, but I'm just saying, he's the same guy that shoveled snow. Is that how you want to run for now? I mean, I'm up to, we can make it hand in hand. We didn't pick a day to go over the default budget, but I think we should look at that
I think we should look at the
and make it go
default
hand in
budget,
hand.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean-
Before we really appoint too many more hours to this or
yeah. Right.
funding, we really need to look at the funding we have available
Yeah.
for the town.
Well, I'm gonna leave it on the agenda,
That's fine.
and we need to, when you get to my report, you're gonna see we need to do, there's a few other things that I like, you know, that we need to really, you're gonna see that I added or tended to the police locker, but you can go through that. I guess I'll just leave this alone then, with an open,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll have the discussion with the default budget. And you did all get quarterly reports. I think I printed them for
Yes.
Yeah.
John, Sherry, and Jan. I can print them for the rest of you. All you gotta do is say something.
Yeah.
You all set?
I'm
Okay.
set.
That was for the first quarter, and I'm sure you haven't studied them because that came out on Friday. So we can leave this open on my agenda. Let us say open. And we could probably tie it up the night we tie up the other things, so I'll leave that open.
Okay. So that's tabled for a while. Go to meeting minutes.
Which you probably got the 26th
We got the
late.
26 late, so we'll just go ahead and table that particular one.
I tried not to do them too long, but
We'll go with 319.
319 came out late last time. I did bring my own copy. As long as they all print on the same page.
Anything on page 1 of the March 19th minutes?
I didn't see anything.
Page 2.
We have Vice Chairman here for that paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Halfway down, R&R is not supposed to be selling.
Oh.
Anything else on page 2? Page 3?
Under the paragraph with Neil Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth line down, 10 acres or more.
Yeah, or, yeah.
And then 1, 2, 3, 4 lines down from that, starting with article,
Mm-hmm.
beginning. The board selling tax deeded property instead of or town owned, because there's 2 separations in here. It
Okay.
gives town owned
Yep.
and it
Okay.
gives town. That's the only reason. I mean,
Mhm.
it is town owned, but,
Sure,
you know,
sure.
Differentiate.
yeah.
Anybody else on page 3? Page 4?
I thought I left a question mark on, under public hearing, the second line down, where it says, was discussed over months with a group. Is it a group of townspeople, or, I mean, I think I know who was on it. I think Marge.
Yeah, we had
Right,
Marge, and then
yeah.
April from Sean Stark. Then there was Chip, there was Sean, there was Benji, there was me. There was Bob Azina. And
Town
three,
officials and
two
Yeah.
people,
And
two people
department
from,
I guess
two people
department heads and
from,
members.
and Tom was on as a selectman, but there was 2 people from Southern New Hampshire, because they drove the,
Okay.
they drove.
So how
the-
about town officials
And members,
and members, or town officials?
and committee members, or board members.
Yeah, board members.
Just
and,
kind of identify who the group is.
The next line down, deadline is, deadline of, excuse me, not is. Oh, wait a minute, was, I don't know, was the deadline is April 1st. That can stay the same. Okay, so it's been-
Anything else on page 4? Page 5?
That it
Yeah,
would be,
that's it.
okay.
Mhm.
The second line up in paragraph 3. There may have been many, so instead of may, it's many.
Yep.
The next line down, I just shortened it. For the board doing business is not a new standard for the board doing business.
Okay.
Anything else on page 5?
Nope.
Page 6? Entertain a motion?
Page 6, there should be
Oh.
men, both selectmen.
Oh, yeah, not man.
Yep. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Entertain a
You
motion?
want this one, Naomi, or- You got it?
Red
Yeah.
pen?
Good
All right,
job, okay.
Move to approve the 3/19/18 minutes as amended.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And one abstention.
Just for those of you that I made printed copies, ignore the bottom corner. It still says March 19th, because after I printed them, I realized I had not changed the date on the 26th. So ignore the date. It's been fixed. It's on the website. On the 26th, it says March 19th still. But you're gonna do the 26th next time, right?
Right.
Gotcha.
It says it like this. It says March 19th on the bottom.
Okay. Don't worry about that, we fixed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fixed online, and it got fixed before it got emailed to everybody, but I wasn't wasting any more paper. As we know, it doesn't get us any money.
No, no. All right, move on to the manifest.
Now, I do have a question on the manifest. There was, the Nortrax that you just signed should be added to this, right?
I was just gonna say that.
as a supplemental.
Yep.
So I have a new number for you.
Shoot.
713-454.22. And that's adding a supplemental of 94,862.69, which is the Nortrax for the backhoe.
I move to order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payables checks dated April 5th, 2018, as included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest of $61,374.28. Weekly and uniform allowances and longevity bonuses awarded. Fire department payroll manifest of $6,780.13 for March of 2018. Accounts payable manifest of $90,457.12. Supplemental accounts payable manifest of $459,980 to cover the appropriations for capital reserve fund per the town vote. And a supplemental manifest for the backhoe of $94,862.69 for a total of $713,454.22.
Second.
Any discussion?
John, do you want me to fill you in on a couple things? Do you want me to fill you in on a couple things? A couple things that were questioned today, John had come in. There were some charges on the credit card that I'm not going to disagree that things should be done different and not just through online purchasing. There was a question about there was some food that was purchased at Country 3, and that was for the oral boards that was happened on 3/2. That's what I wrote down. So they fed the people that were part of the oral boards out of the credit card. That's why it says for subs. Hose, we purchased $50 in hose, again, online. Could there been a better choice? Sure.
Well,
And
it
I
was
think,
actually $79.
Yeah, it was
It was
$80,
almost
yeah.
$80.
It wasn't 50, it was
did I
80.
say 80? I said,
Yeah.
I have
It was
$80
80.
written here.
You said 50, yeah.
Okay,
50.
50 for 50, that would have been a bargain. No.
Yeah.
Paper towels as well, I think we can do better group. And then the medical supplies, it's my understanding that the intent was to put together some kits for the cars, and they were going to do it in group and put together their own kits. But the stuff that was being received was not the quality that we can get through our medical vendor. So I don't believe you're gonna see that again. There was
Till
all
the
the,
expiration date.
they what?
Till the expiration date of the items.
Correct. There's nothing I could do about that now. But at the same token, I realize it might be a little frustrating. At the same time, you do have someone that's approving it, so we just have to keep track of the budget. There was a CMA bill for landfill. We have to have the landfill inspected. Benji called, and I think they just came out. As part of our year, we have to do a yearly report to the state.
DES.
If you recall, we did have years ago one of the caps slid, so they pay attention to it more. The storage units you saw in there, there is, again, there's 2 storage units that we have, which is $248 a month, but I think that's gonna go into the grand scheme of having a bigger discussion when we talk about repurposing where we are with the DPW. I sent you some information about the food pantry. So that needs to be a general discussion, but right now, it's been solved. There's 2 units, 2 different size units that are being used to store evidence right now. There was a service call for the radio, but I believe you heard about the radio part of it tonight, to come out and do the Bluetooth part. So I just wanted to, John had asked questions, and so I just wanted to make sure you all,
Motion's been made. There a second? Yeah, Jim, you second.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Jack
second
did.
it.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Administrator's report.
Yeah, I'm gonna just, Frank Richardson's been patient here with the Weare Baptist Church. Remember Frank? I did reach out to, I sent the information that we were provided last week, to Laura and to Avatar. We cannot go back to anything in 2012. That's just, we can't. Right now, they've been supplying us with the information necessary to, paperwork to show the exemption. So that's why the exemption is getting. I guess it boils down to, do you continue to have them pay it, even though, as we all know, the tax The court case, it requires the tenant to pay it. Laura has suggested that we stay out of that whole court case because it doesn't have to do with us. It's unfortunate, but it has to do with them and the tenant that's still there. They're pursuing that very actively, and they're pursuing all their own legal issues, which is the proper thing to do, but we have to look at what we have to do. So with that being said, Laura, I believe, I'll just read what she had sent to us before, indicating that she, I think I read it to you last time, that we can talk about it and continue and allow it to sit there until it becomes part of the deed, but keep in mind, it's earning 18% interest. Lauren suggested that, we not get involved with it as it is personal, between them, just like it would be between any tenant and a person that lives there. 2012, we're not going back to. It's entirely up to you. I'm not going to tell you what I personally feel. It's not a personal situation. So it's up to this board about the tax abatement. And if you want to hear from Frank, Frank's here. You didn't hear from Frank before. Frank is a director to the church.
On the board.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And he came, because I didn't reach out and tell him we were going to talk about it, but I do know that I did send what we were given, and that was not anything that we're going to go back and look at, according to Avatar as well as Laura.
Okay.
So,
So when did the filing of the, is it 501(c) or whatever it is, or, yeah. When did that become effective again? You lost it in 2012.
2006.
no, they lost it in 16.
Yeah.
Oh,
And it was granted in 2017.
See what happened,
So
right.
1 year.
They
So it's only 1
so
year.
what happened is, and it's timing, because the court case came through in February 18th of 2016, determining that it no longer qualifies for tax exempt. As April 1st rolls around, it's what sits on the property as of April 1st of 16. So as of April 1st of 16, it all becomes taxable. Then May 12th of 2016, the determination was made that they do qualify for this tax exempt. So think about February to May. April
Okay.
1st happens in between. So if it had been April 30th and June, you would have not be dealing with it, because as of April 1st, it still would have stayed tax exempt. But as of April 1st, because of the February, I had that date in my mind. There's a February date here. February 18th is when the court deemed it no longer exempt. They've worked that way since then and now have it back in exemption with the town. It's now exempt, which is why there's no 17 bill. And there's no 18 bill. We haven't done the 18 yet, but
So on calendar, it was only out of the 501 for approximately, what, 2.5 months?
about 3 months.
3 months?
And it was a matter of the court orders, to my understanding. Is that correct?
I don't think the court ever ruled anything that wasn't tax exempt. You folks.
Yeah, there was a letter that we sent you that we determined that as of May 12th.
because that's done with the charitable foundation or whatever
It's under the state for the charitable trust.
Well,
It's a
trust-
501c3,
yeah,
which means it's
like I know that,
exempt.
right, like,
But they have to
Not for
prove,
profit,
they have to
they
come in
have to
here
prove it.
yearly and prove something with Avatar. And it's my understanding we don't keep any of their records because it's their records. All they have to do is come in and prove of all the filings, which Lauren has said that's been done.
So like I said, that was at 3 months, and April fell in between the 3 months, and
Well, it may be a little bit more than that, but the town made the determination based on the lawsuit that because of the tenants not being the pastor, and that's where the whole rub comes from. And they've been actively pursuing. You've gotten
oh yeah,
all the stuff
Oh,
from
yes.
their attorney. They're actively pursuing. It's not like they've left it alone. They want to make it right.
correct.
And they're actively out of their own pocket paying for all of the lawyers and all of the courts and all of the everything else to actively to make it right.
What is the board's feeling?
I think we ought to maybe, I would say, abate all of it, but I would say that the
Well, most of
interest
it,
rate is 18%.
yeah, but that's the state of New Hampshire, you can't do
Can't
that, even
make
though
it.
they're playing with it again,
Yeah,
playing with moving that down. The actual, the tax is what you abate, the
Let's see.
interest you'll
How
have
much have we
to.
got on the tax, the abate?
Well, this says the tax amount's 3649.88,
36,000,
3,600.
3,600, okay,
The
But
rest
that-
is interest and penalties.
But that was a full calendar year.
That's correct.
okay.
That really wasn't a full calendar year out of 501.
I think they were charged the whole year. They were charged
They
the
were
whole
charged the whole
tax,
year,
of
but
course.
for that whole year, the building was not out of 501.
Wow, that's.
Right, you can split hairs
you
all
can
we
split
want, but
hairs,
they got a
we-
tax bill for
Mhm.
$3,649.88.
Yep.
Which is continuing to earn interest, because it's now gone to the 18% part.
Can we abate the interest also? Or does it-
Well, if you abate the tax, the interest is
goes
going
with it?
to
Okay.
Go away.
go away, because that's where it stops.
Rest of the board?
I guess this is how Laura and I had a kind of conversation today a little bit, because she wasn't in today.
Mhm.
She had today off. If they had been sitting around and not pursuing something, she might feel a little differently, where they have been pursuing and gone back and appealed and done all their things to try to keep their status. She would have felt differently, but that's just, if they were sitting around with their feet up, not thinking about getting the tenants out, we
Where
would,
does the appeal sit right now, Mr. Erickson?
Richardson's.
Ri-
Richardson, you're Frank Richardson.
Richards, I thought you said Erickson, okay,
No.
I'm
The
sorry.
appeal is, they're appealing with the Supreme Court,
It's,
so we're waiting on that.
no idea when
Now,
they're
is
gonna
the-
hear it?
For that part, and then the eviction is.
Yeah, see, there's still like two things.
Courses of action.
Now, what about the
Right.
eviction, how far is that along? What's the hearing on that again?
We originally filed that back in January of last year.
Yeah,
And we had to go into action.
so the eviction's on hold, is
So
what
they've
you're
had to go in different directions to try to get this process solved.
Then that's,
So the eviction's on hold, is what you're saying?
no, we're pursuing it right now in court.
Okay, and that's through Goffstown?
Right.
Any idea when that's gonna come to
All
fruition?
to
It's all up to the dockets.
Okay, I didn't know if you had a notification of possible time when they were gonna hear it or not.
This has gone on for a long time.
Well, I'll entertain a motion of any kind.
Move that we abate the tax bill for the Weare Bible Baptist Church. Yes, the amount's $4,257.26.
I guess that was as of that, the writing. There's gonna be some more interest on top of that, but once you abate it, if you're gonna abate the entire thing, it'll go away.
Strike the figures and just abate the bill.
For 2016?
Is there a second?
Yeah, I guess I'll second it. We'll get it.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to abate the taxes for the Weare Bible Baptist Church. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Abstained. Those are three. Aye.
3 ayes?
3 ayes. Were you aye? Okay.
Yeah,
so
I'm an
four-
aye as
four
We
ayes.
have 4 ayes?
4 ayes and
I
abstention.
said aye.
Yeah,
They
four-
also-
I didn't hear your eye, I heard hers aye.
Yeah.
Okay. So
4 and you're gonna
I'm
abstain?
abstaining.
Okay, so tomorrow morning I'll let the tax collector know that we've abated it.
Okay. The only reservation I had about my holding back is because I would like to have seen them evicted prior to doing this. You know, that would have been my,
Yeah, and I
that's my
think,
feeling.
and I
too.
don't think anybody on the board would feel differently. I just think
Yeah.
Laura explained to me that it's two different they get the bill regardless of what's going on
I
there, even though
understand,
they're trying to
yeah.
conduct business.
The landlord always gets the bill on that instance.
No, it's the owner, they're
Oh,
the
the owner,
owner.
yeah.
The landlord, they're
Well,
trying to, the tenants are
The
trying to get
tenant,
out.
so I mean, the owner or landlord in this
Please
case, same
keep-
thing, you get the
Keep
bill. and the
pursuing
tenant's
this. I just
walk.
don't want that part, you know,
Unfortunately.
because, then we're really not in compliance. I mean, if they're
Yep.
still sitting
Well, every
there.
year you have to come in with all your paperwork, Lauren said to me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Which you'll be, you've already done that, that's right too. They've already done it for this year.
They're on that.
So that was my only reservation. Okay,
All right, thank you,
Okay.
Frank.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, I just figured I would take care of while he was sitting here. Just, if you look at the report I handed you, I kinda tried to neaten up a little bit the government building part, but I did forget something. The police locker room project, if you remember, that was kinda taking its own, so what we are doing with that, if you remember at the end of 17, we purchase ordered lockers for the old workout room and the new one is being built. So the locker room, we had a discussion today, the new lockers, needs 3 quotes, even though there was one number to purchase order. 3 quotes are going to be given, that was, I think about $7,000 or something, so we'll be looking for those to come in as that project moves forward. But in the police department renovation, they are now being sheetrocked. The sheetrocks had 3 bids. The lower of the bid is the one they move forward with. They had 3 bids, so it's being sheetrocked
At the station?
at the fire station.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I think
So there was 3 bids. No, there's 2 different projects.
Oh.
Do you remember? We had one room that was a shared workout station.
Right,
That
Yeah,
we
yeah.
had to, it was still being shared, so
Yeah.
at that point, we either made a locker room and did something at the firehouse,
Right.
which took a long time. So the locker room is being moved forward,
okay.
and so is the building, the weight room part. So I changed those a little bit because they've been stagnant on the other lists.
Okay. How much
Um,
did you say the locker room was gonna be? 7?
the locker rooms were, we get a price of, I'm gonna give you a ballpark, because there was 11 of them times, I think it was 792. So it's like $8,700
Okay,
that we purchase ordered, but it still requires, there was not to a vendor, we just purchase ordered it out, just because that's what the board agreed to do in 17.
right.
I called ServPro, I don't know that I'll ever get an email from him, you know, I still haven't got anything today. The town office, I explained to you earlier, Dave did some work for us when we were under the other. I think it came out nicely. He cleaned up the stair treads, and they really
Oh, yeah, it looks
actually,
nice.
the other day in the rain, it was kind of nice because your feet do stick to them, so it's really nice. The one thing that's not on here is if you've had the luxury of coming into the town clerk's office in the last few days, we've got a resident rodent that's passed on we can't find.
He's in the wall somewhere.
It's really, literally stinking. So I have reached out to JP Pest because we can't find it. So we leave the windows open in there at night and we spray Lysol in the morning. But it's in there somewhere, I don't know where. So JP Pest is coming this week to
Eventually it'll stop.
see. So I did forget that one. So they are coming to look around.
The joys of old buildings.
Yeah, that's the joy of an old building. I'm not sure. He said it could have chewed into, it's behind a bookshelf.
Oh.
So he could have gnawed at some papers and crawled in, and that's where he stayed. Now it's too bad. But it was the other day they asked me what the smell was, and I'm like, it smells like something dead, and I'm leaving. So that's that we're working on that one. Tax deeded, Jen, you asked me last week to ask Laura about the tax deeded
The eviction
properties.
property.
The
Yeah.
eviction, right.
Yeah.
And she said she needs the tax deed, the property address, the names of the people living there. If the owners don't live there, she needs their addresses as well.
Okay,
The 3 years, okay, I asked about 3 years, has nothing to do with selling before, has nothing to do with the eviction, which you knew. The 3 years, I asked about 3 years,
oh, yeah,
that has nothing to do with.
okay.
So at the same time, I did, last week I had brought up the fact of this, this gentleman from tax,
Yeah, I have that.
right here. This is Richard Sagan, from New Hampshire tax deed and property auctions.
Yeah.
He said that the first step is to provide a rough idea of what we have to sell, copies of the assessment cards. He's interested in seeing what we have for an inventory and what the value is. If any of the properties being sold have been owned by the town for less than 3 years, 90-day letters will need to be sent to the former owners. This will take it so we don't have an auction for at least 90 days from the letters that are sent. Assuming the town has a sufficient amount of inventory to make an auction viable, next thing to do is set up a date and have an auction. I currently have Haverhill and Claremont in June and discussing an auction with another town. He did send me a fact sheet, which I'll forward to you guys. It had a lot of interesting questions. I did print off one, but I didn't print off. It's a 4-page sheet about this company. So I'd be interested in sharing that, with you guys. But that's he is an owner, lawyer, auctioneer that does tax deeded properties for a lot of municipalities.
What does he get? What does he charge to do that?
It says there's no cost to the municipality. The New Hampshire tax deed and property auction is compensated by charging a 10% buyer's premium on the auction property.
So the buyer
The buyer,
pays
yeah,
an extra
90% of
10%.
them do that.
Yeah, which is paid by the successful bidder. The premium pays for all their costs, including costs associated with advertising, auctioneering, and legal services.
Perfect.
So they do it statewide. They, it says they provide comprehensive advertising services, which was a concern at town meeting. They do signage at the property, they do advertisements in the newspaper, they do signage at the town hall, they do detailed information on each of them is put on their website called nhtaxdeedauctions.com. There's notifications of each auction to the property abutters, and there's alerts of some of the people that he's acquired over the years that buy these types of properties, so that goes out to them as well. So there's a lot of things, and these are all just questions that are 4 pages of questions that I think you would find interesting. And this is just one gentleman that I ran into at the NHMA conference, and there is not a cost, obviously. It says they get there's no cost to us, it's just compensating by 10% to the buyer. So, but then they take care of all the rest of it from there. So it'd be worth putting together what we want, and at the meantime we can give Laura the same thing with the eviction part of it, because that legal part, she can start the eviction, because there's no question on here that says that he's going to do the eviction.
Okay, well, I started today, obviously this is gonna be typed up and put in a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
But what I did was, I've got the homes here. The first ones are the ones that are homes. I know 2 that are occupied, 2 that are unoccupied, and 2 I have no idea. And these can be sold. These are homes, so they can. Under 10, yes. And then there's, like on this first page, and like I said, I'll have this all typed up when we're gonna do the workshop, because the way that these properties look, I've got them all broken out here as to, like, the rights of way, obviously we don't have to do anything with those. We're gonna just transfer those over to town-owned land. But then we have some that are sloped, they're wet, they're whatever properties, and it says unbuildable on some of them. But we're maybe gonna have to take a ride around to see what they are, or somebody is.
Yeah, I mean, that's just like the list that Sharon provided us. I don't know if any of you have scoped that list.
Yes.
That's not a real true list that ends up at the tax deed, because
Right.
usually those people come in, but there's a
Yeah.
lot of people on there that are potential tax deedings, which we have other departments supposed to go out and look at them.
But I've got it all sorted out. There's like some that are 2 acres and under, 5 acres and under, and then larger parcels. And so I'll have this ready for next week. Anyway. Okay, so then we can, start to go over it. But again, I don't even know if some of this is even worth trying to
it says
sell.
That's why I
unbuildable.
buy it.
It says, and that's why I
And the
think.
bottom of something, maybe.
Well, yeah, no, I'm not talking about, that's what, I also said to research to see who the abutters are.
Yeah, they do. They notify all the abutters and part of their advertising
Yep.
package.
By law, they have to know.
They have to know.
Yeah, so even if it was like a half an acre, somebody might want it, so they
Just
don't.
to add on to their piece. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But some I think is over like by the river on Concord Stage that goes down on the, you know,
Yeah.
this side
Yeah.
that you may not even be
Yeah.
able to sell it.
Deed to the
So-
state, so they gotta take care of it.
I will
Do
have
an
this ready for
expansion.
next week and you can go over it.
Yeah, because when it says unbuildable though, is it unbuildable because it's on a class 6 road? Because it's technically unbuildable, but there's always a chance, depending on what the
Somebody would
situation,
upgrade a road.
you could go to the zoning. I'm
Depends
just
on how
saying.
it's
Yeah.
deeded way
It
back when.
has to be
Yeah,
evaluated.
If they
It's an
deeded it as a
If
building
it's an old
lot,
lot,
it could be a
it could be a
non-conforming
1
lot,
acre lot.
Right,
but it
Could
could
be
be a buildable
grandfathered
lot.
for.
right.
Yeah.
And if it's a 1 acre on a
If it
town
was-
road, if you can fit a tiny
septic
house
and-
there.
You run into it
Septic and-
years ago,
Yeah.
that they had a lot that's deeded in Concord as a building lot, and, you know, there's been cases on it where you have to give them an opportunity to see
But
if they
there's
can get it approved.
There's a piece down by Daniels Lake that I think is probably, it's not gonna be usable to anybody
It's right
because
next to
it's
the
by
river,
by the,
But keep
The
in
water.
mind down there that we've stayed away from that because you
Well, that-
control the dam.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
if
you don't
take
wanna
it,
be
control
part
the
of
dam,
control
and
of
that's
ours
what I'm
and be
saying.
responsible.
You know, we're
Yeah.
gonna have to take each thing and see what we wanna do with
Take a
it.
field trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, take a
But I
field trip.
think we need to have a workshop on that.
Yes.
Further
That
discussion.
and the default budget. That'd be a
Yeah.
good
Default.
workshop.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I just want to revisit a couple things on the report.
Yep.
A couple have your name on them. Because we
Well,
haven't,
they're
we haven't, we
old.
just haven't discussed
Yeah,
them. We
right.
just haven't discussed them in so long. I just want to retouch on them.
Yeah,
Which is,
The Gordon Brown building,
yeah.
the Clinton Grove underpinning,
yep.
yeah.
and, you know, the office roof leak. We haven't had that happen since, have we?
No, the office has, the roof leak hasn't, that
Occurred.
one time, remember we had the wind?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it came in those 2 spots. We haven't had it at all.
Probably through those windows, like they said.
Yeah.
So maybe
just
we can
exactly.
start looking for a contractor to seal up the windows that we know
Okay.
have, you know, space for ensigns in them. Start looking for contractors for that.
Now, did we put that out, the bid out for, or are you for?
I'm going to, I
Town
didn't,
hall.
yeah. Yeah, because I wanted to send it to you, I forgot
Yes.
about that.
As far as the bell tower and the
Yeah.
rot, okay,
Mm.
okay. I think, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, maybe the rot should be an hourly type thing. Because unfortunately, I don't know how much, you know, you can't quote that job. I mean, there's so much of it, it's just you're gonna turn into.
Well, when
a-
you start opening up, there could be more,
Correct.
is that what you're saying?
You
Right,
could be doing the
so
whole building.
maybe we can commit to an hourly rather than a project cost. I don't know if
Maybe
that's
you can get Tom
feasible.
to come back over and take a look at that. I mean, he didn't ask, we
Mhm.
didn't ask him that day, we were just talking about.
I mean, we
the
know
bell
we're gonna go, you know, astronomical in repair, but I think it should be on an hourly, cause it could take
Mhm.
50 hours, could take 1,000 hours.
Mhm.
So, that's just my thought on that.
The other thing too that got brought up was the windows over there on the town hall. They're in bad shape, and we were talking, not me personally, but somebody at the table here was talking a lot of money, and I'd mentioned, why don't we talk to Tim Maskeel and see if that would be a winter project he'd be interested in doing, because,
Reglazing those.
yeah, because he did all the windows at Clinton Grove.
Mhm.
And that's another issue that probably should go on here. We need to
And if not,
get some stone windows up there on Clinton Grove
I
to
know,
protect those windows.
as far as last I heard, he's kind of stepping back in his undertaking of work, but maybe he can suggest, if that's not something he wants to tackle, maybe he's got somebody he can suggest to do that for us. Because obviously, he did a hell of a job when we hired him on all our projects.
I know that he's not looking to do a lot of house painting anymore.
Outside
Mhm.
stuff.
Outside
yeah.
stuff he's not, but he'll do inside.
Okay,
Mm.
well,
That's
there you
why I
go.
thought he might
And that's
do
fine.
that. That'd be,
Yeah.
he'd do it a lot cheaper than,
Absolutely, and like I said, I 100% agree.
Yeah, he
with
said
that.
he's not
Agree
up to
with
climbing the ceiling, roofs anymore.
that. Nope, I don't
I
blame
don't
him.
blame him.
Get
No.
back to he's going back and truck.
Um,
He'll do all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think some of them are just old. I mean, the
Yeah.
gazebo, that's just been sitting there.
Yeah, anything about the 2 buildings? Gordon Brown or Clinton Grove?
I haven't talked to anybody.
Yeah.
We, since last fall, and when I talked to actually Tim about it, Tim didn't really want to have to climb up on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
The only other person I thought of locally might be Mark Reed.
Oh, he just mentioned
I
him.
just said,
He's got a bucket truck?
Mark will do the painting too, if they need somebody to do painting. He's got a bucket truck and everything else.
I mean,
And I know
Just so we can touch on
I know
those
he was
again,
looking for
that's
some work, cause he stopped by and saw me, what I needed a hand.
Mark Reed?
Yeah.
Okay,
And maybe the,
I see him now and then.
I see him almost every day.
any further on Clinton Grove?
yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't done anything this spring with it, but I'll.
Okay.
I was gonna say, the last time
I
I
had
think we
asked
looked at the spring
Tom, and
dates.
Tom's coming over. He went up and looked at that last fall with me, or late last summer there, when he was over to look at the bell
Okay.
tower.
Yeah,
And I haven't heard a word about it from him, so I guess I gotta get after him, see if he wants to do it.
The other thing we had talked about, and I know you had said it when you were on that side of the podium, is getting a full evaluation of the town hall.
That's good, you gotta write a grant.
Okay.
Definitely, that's a project.
I know.
That's a big project.
that's a huge project.
Right. Well, I think,
I already did it a few times, so
I think
full
unfortunately,
assessment of that.
we really need to do that, you know, because if we're not going to, I think we're,
I'll get $50 an hour.
or at least look into that, because like I said, it's one of them things where, you know, I heard the expression, if we're not gonna maintain these buildings or have a plan for them, then why do we have them?
That's right.
And I don't think not having them is an option, so we gotta, you know, think about moving forward with them. The purchasing policy, that's been sitting there for a while, and so isn't the noise ordinance. Where is the noise ordinance at this point? I think the committee came back as,
Dropped it in your lap.
Yeah, they disbanded themselves.
Yeah.
They dropped it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, didn't that
Yeah.
go
Right.
away? But I had several people call me just recently and ask me why we're not doing anything with that. One guy's complaining about guns being shot off up on the off Mountain Road. And a couple of people have asked me about motorcycles. They started in already at 5:30 in the morning. They're taking off, and people that are still in bed sleeping, you know.
It's like-
I don't think you can control people getting on their motorcycles
Yeah.
and taking
no,
off.
and
just
that's kinda hard to do.
Yeah.
but-
The noise ordinance, you've got an RSA on the state books disturbing the peace, and until you get the police department to enforce that, I'm nowhere,
Yeah, I
don't
know.
want nothing to do with noise. It's already on the books,
Yeah, yeah.
so.
So, I don't know if that's something we wanna,
So, I mean, if you remember how that worked, there was an article on the warrant.
for
Then there was a
committee
committee, and then the committee did a little survey, supplied the information, and said
wasn't
that we
really-
don't have a,
It wasn't really
we don't
complete
have a
either.
problem with noise, and dropped it back in this board to do something with, which
Well-
there hasn't been anything
The
further.
survey that got taken, when they did it at the polls, wasn't,
They didn't have 5 people, did they?
well, they had probably more than that, but they didn't keep any good records, so we don't know how accurate or what it was. I mean, they never, when asked about certain things, they didn't come back
Maybe
with
we
it
should-
all, so they basically, it was like, well, most people didn't have a problem.
Can we put the purchasing policy maybe on next week,
Yeah.
finish it?
I think
and the
so.
only reason I asked, that one triggers is obviously we've had a couple things come up recently for RFP or quotes, and I think we also need to do something about the disposal policy.
Yeah, because I actually, good thing you said that, I have I got today's letter from the auctioneer, the May auction's around the corner.
Oh, I
I
State
gotta
auction,
share that with everybody.
I'd really like, I mean, and as far as this board can go, I'd really like to push the department heads to off what they're not using.
Yeah.
You know, just for, you know, feasibility and, you know, looking
I
at.
thought we cleaned once, because we took stuff over there,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of times they don't take
Well, who
it.
knows now that
Right.
Benji's going
Right.
in the new building, there may be more stuff to go up, you know.
Right, and maybe it'd be the fall auction that, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, and
we
it can
really
be the
centralize
October
on with the DPW.
'Cause you don't wanna
Cars,
rush.
We got any cars or trucks.
But I know there's
Well-
other, well, and equipment too, you know, they take the old light bars or
yeah.
radios or ladders or toolboxes or
Take just
whatever.
about anything.
So,
But I know that we have a clause in there, I think we raised it, but it didn't go through yet, was we went from $200 to $300 item needs to be brought here for disposal, for authorization. And I think that, to me, almost is too low of a number, I'd wanna say $1,000.
Yep.
But, again, we can revisit it next week.
Yep.
yeah, and I'll have to send it to Sherry, she doesn't have it.
I would agree,
But I
that'd
think
probably be.
Well,
I'd
yeah,
like
the other
something
thing
that would
too
be up.
is, I will invite the department heads, because I know Benji's a stickler with the $1,000,
Yes, he
just
is.
because of what he's been through. When $1,000 in his scheme,
Doesn't cover much.
it doesn't,
Doesn't even get 2 times.
he's been spending a lot of time getting 3 quotes. So, I mean, I think that discussion should be had as well, as to, I know we had limitations to 1,000 and,
But then again, you know, what's,
and then you talk
What
about a
one
single
depart-
source.
Not every department's gonna be the same.
But you-
exactly, that's the thing, so you gotta put a blanket out there, unfortunately, one department's gonna work harder than the other, I think.
Yeah, you gotta turn around and make it equal across the board.
Right, so I think, you know, again, Benji's got bigger toys, and I think it's gonna show its
Oh,
colors
yeah,
that
no,
way,
it's-
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, all right, I don't wanna lose those items, that's
Yep.
all, it just seems like that, you know.
Yeah, the building
government
items get
building
longer.
Keep getting bigger and bigger,
Yeah.
and I just wanna make sure we start closing some of that up, that's
And
all.
then I have, I got an email from Tom Clow today, regarding, do you remember the SEDS, which was the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy from Southern New Hampshire? It says, as you know, I've been serving on the SEDS committee. The committee involves both Southern and Central New Hampshire Planning Commission and includes Townsend, Merrimack, and Hillsborough County. The group is reaching the end of its work on a plan update, and I'm seeking the board's permission to remain on the committee as the Weare representative until work is complete. I believe this will only involve 2 more meetings, a subcommittee meeting to review and rank the project submissions, and a whole group to finalize a report. I'm part of the committee that will be meeting next week, Tuesday, April 10th. The SEDS committee is made up of town administrators, business people, town planners, and private citizens, as well as a few selectmen. So I would not be the only non-selectman on the committee. It would be very difficult for a new person to go in cold at this point to review projects and finalize a report. Thank you in advance to the board for considering this request.
I couldn't agree more.
So I guess if you want, I'll just let him know that he can just, there is just 2 more
I think
meetings
that
and
makes a
then,
lot, yeah.
Yep,
Switching
absolutely.
courses in midstream.
Yeah, or
Okay.
3/4 way through the whole
That's
race.
reporting, yeah.
Yeah.
all right. I don't know, do you need a motion that he be your representative?
I don't
No.
think
Okay.
so.
I'm just asking what you want to do.
I don't think
All right, so, I thought I was gonna have more of these. It's that time of year for the intent to excavate. It's done by you're only gonna see 2 more. Mount William brought theirs in. Typically, they fill out the intent to excavate for the upcoming year, which is April 1st of 18 to March 31st of 19. This goes to the state. Chris has posted, this is for Mount William, a $39,000 bond. He does it every single year. So with that being said, you guys sign this and it goes to the state with a check for the $100. Doesn't need an authorization, it came in. So, and then I also, while Jack's gonna send that down the table, I think I scanned and sent the Milton Cat,
Yes, I saw that.
for the scheduled maintenance on the generator at the safety complex, as well as the mapping that's done by CAI for Wendy. It's done on the website. There's 3 for the website one, so there's no motion needed, but there is a motion needed for the on-site schedule of the generator.
I make a motion to have the chairman be authorized to sign the scheduled maintenance plan with Milton Cat for the gen set located at the safety complex. The service price is $780.50.
Motion's made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then that just needs 3 of you on the way down through. I did not get a chance to, I think I signed up the 2 of you did you guys get emails? Jen, I think you said you did get an email.
I did, and thank you.
Okay, and Sherry will have one waiting when she gets home. So those did, I will put out this week the electrical and the plumbing. I didn't get a chance to do that yet.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so now if the electrical comes in and their rate is at, say, 65,
Yep.
what are they gonna do, jack up the parts? Am I
Yeah.
asking a logical question here?
Well, I mean, if they buy parts at one price, they always mark it up a certain
Most of them
percentage.
do.
Right,
Yeah.
can we
Setting-
ask that,
I
what
don't
the
think so.
percentage is?
Well, I guess I'm not sure. I mean, I was gonna put it out I thought we were looking for the hourly rate.
Just
Yeah, well,
hourly.
that's what my
Right.
initial thought
Right.
was, and then I'm thinking about it.
I don't think you can dictate to what the prices are, because you can't control them. Who knows?
Right.
You know,
Unless they buy underneath
Oh,
our,
2, yeah. Did they only sign 1?
unless they buy them underneath our contract that we pay direct.
Yeah, and see, I mean,
That
I
opens up
can,
another can of worms.
right, by getting an hourly rate, I guess I thought it was after the hourly rate in case I called them in case of emergency. Parts, I do know that a lot of times, you know, they run to Concord for parts, electrical or plumbing. They'll run locally, but,
No.
I don't know. I mean, are we asking for just the hourly? I mean, I'm not
I
sure.
Well,
just
that's
think
what
the
I'm
hourly
wondering, are we gaining anything?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how.
I think we're gonna struggle. I mean, I can go ahead and get 6 people's hourly rate, but when something, push comes to shove and I need somebody,
Whoever picks the phone up says they can come.
I can go in this order, but it may be the 6th
I
guy
don't-
because nobody's available.
I don't think you can
know?
dictate up to them what the parts are gonna cost.
No,
I mean,
They mark them up usually.
they gotta mark them
course
up
they
to
do.
cover their costs.
right.
I mean,
They buy them for
if they buy
$30 and
a
sell 'em just
switch for
50.
$10, they're gonna sell it to you probably for 20. They gotta cover their time and fuel going back and
To go
forth with
get
the
it.
supplier.
Well, see, back in the day when, back in the 70s, early 80s, I mean, at that time, most of the time they did the parts and then just charged a rate. But that was when
Did the
people
parts-
did things for
What, they gave
municipal.
you the
Do you know?
parts?
Yeah, you know what
I've
I'm.
never-
No, we paid for the parts.
Yeah.
But we
So the
paid their
town
price
charged
for the
for the
But,
parts
parts.
and
but
then
you
you
still never
install.
knew what their price was for sure. unless
Well,
you
no,
see
we
the
had bills.
invoice.
They gave us the bills.
Still didn't.
But they were handwritten. They could have paid 20 and charged you.
No, we
25.
had,
They could've marked
no,
it.
like
Oh, they
if they
had
went
their
to
bill.
say,
They had their bill.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
they gave us their.
I do know, I mean,
But
when
that was
Dave
when
has done
people
some
were
work,
more
typically
giving.
I call and authorize him to pick up stuff at Country 3 and we're billed for that.
He's
But-
not marking it up.
Right, and he's not. He goes down there and gets it and puts it in for whatever. But I know on some cases when we did the out front, we couldn't get that paint. So he honestly he charged me just what he was
Oh,
charged.
yeah.
He used his own credit card and we paid for it. I don't know. I mean, we can ask for an hourly rate, but I don't know that you're gonna ask.
You're gonna ask ABC Electric to go do that, and, you know, their pricing is different anyway, depending
Yeah.
on how much they buy, how much volume they buy, how much they do with their
Exactly.
supplier.
Yeah.
Every one of them's different. So,
It's just like when you go in the hardware store.
Yeah.
some people get a break because they buy
If
so
you
much,
go
they
and
get a
put it under-
contract price.
Somebody's name that.
And you don't know what you're gonna get until he gets it, because you don't know what's gonna open up.
Yeah, you get a
You know
discount.
somebody that's an electrician, you go and use their name,
Yeah.
Yeah.
their number, and
Yeah.
get a discount, or whatever.
Yeah, right, and different discounts, yeah.
Or you go to Sunel's and say, work for the town.
And then,
blah,
and
blah,
going to
blah.
Sunel's, every Sunel's is different. You go to the one in
Oh,
Hillsborough, you
yeah.
get one price. Go to the one in Weare, you get one price. Go to the
Yeah.
one in Concord,
You get
stand by, because you're gonna get hit more.
And
I've done
So-
that.
I know all
And done
about
it as a
that.
commercial account.
I know all about that.
See,
Yeah.
now, and two, I was under the understanding like that whoever had the lowest rate would do the town's business, do it for their, like if it's electrical,
Right.
do it for the year.
But you're not giving them, you wanna know the hourly, but that doesn't stop them from taking 16 other jobs in other towns.
And they may not,
So they may be the lowest, but you
May
may
not be
wait 3
available.
weeks for them
Yeah.
and not available, and then you go down the pecking order.
That's
Yeah,
it.
I'd rather kind of myself just stick to the purchasing policy. If it's gonna be over $1,000, it is.
Yeah, whatever.
And we just use that list that we have on file.
We have people that have, and Mary controls it, there's people that say, hey, if you're looking for, put me on, we do
Yeah, but it
have
seems like
builders,
the same people do it all the
Well, the
time.
other thing is too is we could do like what the PD does with a rotate basis. If we got a list,
Yeah, if we have a
then-
list and
then we
rotate.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the tow list?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call contractor one the first.
I mean, all we can
It
do is
depends
get
on how many
prices and see how it
electricians
works.
are available, how many-
That's all we can
If
do.
we've got water blowing across the floor, it's called whoever answers the phone first.
Yes.
Close by.
we go out and do this list
I
every
hear
6
ya.
months,
Yeah.
once a year.
No, what happened is we have a vendor list that if you want to, I mean, it was back when, actually Keith asked us to start one. So if you've got somebody that's interested in doing architect, or someone that's interested in doing painting, or someone that's interested in doing construction, and so we had vendors that were constantly saying, add me to your, I do this, this, and this, you know what I mean? And we maintain it, but if we don't send anything out to bid on them, the next time you go to use them, they've changed the phone number and email, and it doesn't work.
Right.
So it's not like we go out
Or
yearly
you
and
may say,
ask
no,
for
I'm
all
not
those
doing that
things.
anymore,
Right.
you know.
Because we struggle, I mean, this fall, you're gonna have to go back out for lawn care. You only did it for 2 years, and every year we struggle with only 1 or 2 people.
Right.
There's a lot of lawn care people out there that just don't bid. I mean, you think
Get enough
about,
work, I don't know.
but then do they wanna overextend? I mean, I
Yeah.
remember when Peter first came here, I mean, that was tough for him to not do the others just because he had so many other clients, and to do it, I mean, that's his name. So it is tough. But we can see where it goes. What the heck? Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
I got one thing. I got approached today
Oh,
Under
sorry.
corres-
We,
under correspondence or other
Mr.
business.
He's folded up his.
Oh,
The
he's
assistant beside him is going to
Yeah.
keep him moving.
Any correspondence of the business?
I got other business. I thought that's what we were on.
Other business.
I got had a conversation today with Ken Miner from Capital Well. John may know the answer to more of it. He got approached because he's on whack, I believe.
Right.
Yeah, no, he's on whack, the Weare athletic.
We're
Kim-
like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, but somebody said something when he finally went poking around, and they were looking, because WAC wants to come in with a proposal, which hasn't come to us yet, about putting sod down on, at Purington Field, down there on
Selman.
Bellman Road. And they said, well, there's supposed to be a well down there. Well, he found that. I think it's just a well point. I said, if anybody would know, you might know. It's driven down in the old town dump, but there's a motor in there.
well down
There's a well point that somebody drove. There's a pump in there, electric pump. It doesn't look like it's looked in it's inside a well tile with stone. It's just a pipe going in the ground. So
On the town land?
it's town. That's town. That's the old landfill.
So you don't, yeah, it's in
there. Surely wouldn't want to be drinking anymore.
No, and they're talking about doing something different. But I told them I'd find out, if anybody knew about it being there.
Well, the only thing you could do is see what we had in the file in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I said, that's what I said. There may be a file, but if not, John might know. Been here since the year 3, so. Yeah, so it's in there, and I looked in it, and I'm going, an electric motor, somebody had a light bulb in there for heat, some insulation at one time, and it's all just falling down, and the light bulb's corroded. I don't know if I want to reach my hand down in there. I don't know where the electricity's
There
coming
might be
from.
alligator.
And all it is an old, it's not that deep in that wall tile, but, and it's just a dry hydrant, palm hydrant sitting outside, so it's like, he
The
just,
water table went down that fast. Should be water.
It'd be good to water the
I don't know
lawn,
if you
brown as it
wanted-
may be.
There might be some other stuff mixed in with it.
I think you buy
Because they
bottled
did find out
water.
that's never been capped.
Right.
That dump never just got
Well,
filled.
just because it's not potable doesn't mean.
So
it
you're
can't be
looking
tapped.
for information
So
on
they're
the well?
looking for information as to what they should do. And I said, well, before you do anything anyway, because it's town land, you gotta come and
Well,
bring it
right,
to
but
the
they should
board.
go in and see what
They
the
go in
town
and see.
file has.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who would have that?
Well, when he could
When
pull, because that piece of property is filed by the map and lot, so
go
they
and
would
see
pull
what-
out the map and
when
lot number and see what's in there,
Mhm.
you know?
Okay, the Salmons owned it at that, and gave it to the town.
Well, for a
But-
dump.
Yeah.
Well, part of it, yes.
Yeah, it was a
There's-
town dump.
But it
I
used to
guess
be
That was
Salmon
done way
Field.
back in the 70s.
Way back, I mean, it's to the point
60s
where
maybe, late
we
No, late
probably-
70s.
Don't wanna be digging around.
you don't
It
want to
was
dump.
there when I was
anything.
working in
I
Concord.
know when the highway department stripped
What?
that and reloamed it, well, I was in there with a grader, ended up with 2 flat tires.
When was that?
Back in the, Lloyd was road agent.
Started to
Yeah,
be back in the late
Yeah.
70s.
yes,
Yes,
that,
middle, late,
Early
early 80s.
We stripped
yeah.
it all off.
That's
I-
right.
I was
all up,
here.
Re-sifted
I
the
remember
loam,
it.
leveled it all off, put the loam back on. Highway
Right.
department did it.
Yeah, but when was that open? Because I was working in Concord and people were going in there dropping dump off in the morning when I
Oh,
was.
dump was there,
That was there.
yes, but no,
Back
we're
in the
talking about the
70s.
ball
Yeah.
field.
Probably
Oh,
60s when the dump was there.
Yeah,
and
the
Yeah.
60s,
60s.
70s when the ball field came into it.
Yeah,
Somewhere.
late 70s.
Late 70s, early 80s.
Mama was always there.
Mike Purington was on the board then.
Yeah, because, before they moved it where it is now.
Quite a deal.
My call, point of order.
Okay.
I've got
Okay,
one,
second.
No, I'm just asking, I
Yep.
just wanna get.
So, okay,
So we're
so
just
that's
gonna
it. That's the
research that
question.
one?
I will tell them.
Okay.
So you're gonna reach him and tell him
I'll
to,
reach
okay.
out to them, I'll tell them to go to see Wendy and they'll get the research on it.
Okay.
And then I told them that if WAC wanted to do anything, like putting sod and stuff down there, they have to come here anyway.
Do we want to discuss this Article 27 at all? And
What,
naming a committee?
yeah, what is our responsibility of that Article 27?
Just what it says. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Yeah,
advisory.
the committee
and-
shall be appointed by
And
May
they're
1.
looking for, because there was a lot of, there was a lot of discussion. Southern New Hampshire Planning was here. They had meetings.
Mhm.
Mike was a big part of that. They had some good meetings and discussions, but we were not picked as a pilot group. And I think the announcement of the pilot communities was after that came before us at deliberative session.
Yeah.
I
So-
think there was a thought there that we may be a pilot community, which, now that we're not, it's merely advisory, but if I think there's enough interest, I can, we can solicit some interest
Yeah.
between the cable and the website.
Let's solicit the interest, see what there is for interest, and if there's enough to make a committee, we'll make a committee. If not, then we'll just stand by until further.
We can field enough people to do it.
There you go.
Mr.
I think it's
Chairman,
worthwhile to
can I
get
have
into,
one thing
but-
before we leave?
Absolutely.
Last week, I believe it was, I brought up about letting the people, the older people and the people that come in that want to just make a public comment and they're not staying and they leave, to have it early, which we agreed on. But my intent was not that we do away with the last one, because there are people that wait, they sit through the whole thing.
Okay,
So, I think we need to put maybe a limit on it. Maybe they can, no more than 5 minutes. We don't want somebody up there rattling on for a half hour. I don't know, something.
Board's consensus on putting a second public comment back in with a time limit?
Yes.
Yes, no?
No, I think leaving it at the beginning, I mean, it's done in the beginning, there's plenty of time, we only have one person.
Well, the problem is that no one knows what you're gonna discuss that evening.
Well,
So after they've sat here for the whole 2 hours, whatever,
I mean, it's on the, they have the agenda, they know what we're gonna discuss. The other thing is that most of the questions we field, or that are brought forth, is old business that's taken place prior.
could I have maybe, a lot of people stay around for certain something on the agenda. Would it not be asked if there was any questions out there that might, you know what I mean? I don't.
Yeah, maybe
for
not a
every
public comment, but a question.
Yeah, because if you know somebody's
that's
here
all.
for somebody, for
Right.
something, you can see the audience, the vast audience is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So what they heard from what they wanted is no longer.
all right.
So I'm just wondering, that's why I moved that gentleman up, because I knew what he was here for, even though on my list it was down.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if we could be, if you, I don't know how to do it. I mean, other than, like I said, people show up for what's on the agenda. So if there's,
Well, maybe instead of making it public comment, maybe we term it differently as
well, let me see
Comment.
what it says here.
comment to the agenda.
Well, if they wanna comment on the agenda, then have them put on the agenda, let's talk to that item.
Well, I'm just thinking like at the end, if we talked
Because
about
if
something.
you open it up, you're gonna be, I think again, we're gonna be here for hours, as we have been in the past with 2 public comments. And instead of,
Well, limit it. If you limit it to 5 minutes. You can't.
But what if you
they can
limit
bring it
the,
up, and then we can ask a question, or we can do it, like I said, before, most of the questions we get are ones that are left over from weeks before.
Or, all right,
Well,
so
what if you
what
limit-
if we ask the question right after the topic?
Any questions on that, and cut it short,
Yeah,
it's not
just
getting
leave
up
it
there.
till-
Yeah, because
somebody-
on the bottom of the sign-in it says they're welcome to speak during public participation, but please keep your comments brief in order to give others the opportunity to
Yeah,
speak.
well,
Please feel free to request being placed on a future agenda for any subjects that will take a lengthy discussion.
Right. If it's gonna be lengthy, then let them ask to be
Right.
put on.
but how do you know it's gonna be lengthy? that
Well,
we're
just
gonna-
say it's no more than 5 minutes.
I just wonder if you can control that with a limited
I don't-
amount of people
Right.
here.
I
Right.
don't know.
You know, we had, what,
I
7 people
agree
tonight?
with that.
You
I
know,
think-
they hang out for a reason, and
Yeah,
I don't
but
mean.
I mean,
7
I'll-
of them get
I'll-
up and speak.
Yeah, I'll ask if there's any question after the topic we discuss.
That's probably the
But
best way to go.
I myself
Well, I
am
wouldn't
not
put
in
it
favor of a
during the
second public
second
comment
one.
either, personally.
Well, I think if you're gonna open it up, like I said, there was very few, and tonight after they heard what they wanted, they kind of wanted to
I
I mean,
went out
I'm
the
fine
door.
with asking if there's any questions on that one topic we just
Right.
discussed before moving on.
Right.
But you know, the only ones I probably won't will be like Naomi's report, because that could spew into
Oh, yeah.
hours.
No, that's,
But if it's
But if you have agenda items,
Agenda item.
exactly,
if
agenda
you
item.
just look out, because somebody usually will do this quickly. And then you move on to the next one.
Right.
Because even Sean will say, do you have any questions more for me?
Right.
And if someone had a question, you could just look up.
Observe it.
But if it's gonna be a lengthy discussion,
Then
then you
no.
have to make the decision and cut it for another time.
Correct.
put
Yep.
them on the agenda,
I'm
let
okay
them
with
go
that.
on the agenda.
And I'm okay with that.
I mean, I know what New Boston does is they just have, like, the first public comment is just for people that want to leave.
They just wanna come in,
In other
make
words,
a
they just
comment
wanna
and
come
leave.
in
Or the older
and
people
ask
come
either
in.
the question or whatever and leave. And then the second one is opened up like we usually open all of them up.
Well, I mean, this is my thought. We moved it to the front, and I think that's a great thing. Helene was happy, but then she stayed a little bit longer. But somebody's usually going to make eye contact with somebody that you can see they want to ask a question or something. But I think you have to have a little control so that, you know, you could give them an opportunity to ask a quick question. But with the preface that a lengthy discussion
Will
goes
not
for
be
another
tolerated, no.
evening.
No,
You know.
that's fine. I have no problem
And I
doing
think you
that.
could control it a little too.
Yeah, I have no problem doing that. We'll try it next week and see how it goes.
Okay.
I got something.
Oh, boy.
Well, I talked to Naomi Friday, I think, on the town forester.
Yes.
Somebody that was changed the deliberative session from the town forester to a town forester.
Yes.
And I know we've had this town forester for several years. I believe it's time to put that job back.
Yeah, what I'd have to do is I'd have to ask conservation what they did with him, if there was contractual obligation back when they brought him on. I don't know that there was in the conversation that we had,
I
yeah.
know you were gonna check in on it, but
Yeah.
you know,
Because they're meeting next week, Sherry, I'll just get you the information. They're meeting on the 10th.
And I don't know if you
I
I
do.
don't know if you heard or not, but apparently that number that was presented to us was actually for also not just for
yeah,
his
I told that
salary.
to Naomi, that should be put in there.
Yeah.
Exactly,
We had no
that
idea.
language needs to be put in there. It's
Absolutely. 'Cause I
absolutely.
was figuring, boy, that guy gets $500 a week.
Exactly, and it's
that's
not
a
what
lot
it
of
is.
weeks. Yeah.
And that's not what it's for.
No, it's just,
But that's a miscommunication from the
Absolutely.
commission.
Yeah,
That's because miscommunication from us to the voters. There's a lot of miscommunication there. I think that needs to be cleared up on the warrant article and, you know, in the mailer and et cetera.
Yeah.
Because obviously that does more, and I think that people would be more apt to spend that money if they knew exactly what that was going for.
Right.
If it was inclusive.
and I,
You know, Bill.
and I
and
think,
there again, you know, I think that anybody who's putting like conservation, Parks and Rec, I mean, all of them, they should come here.
Yeah. Well, I think they should come to the delivery session too.
Oh, yes,
absolutely.
they should definitely be at the delivery.
I mean,
But
you
they
know.
should come here, and I don't care if it's the same thing over and over again. They should come and make the
You
presentation.
make the rest of the department heads come.
Right, exactly.
You make the rest of the department heads come. The other thing
Yeah,
is,
right.
let's call a spade here. They all need to go through the CIP process, and that doesn't happen.
Right.
Right.
I looked through all my CIP paperwork, and there was nothing.
No, there hasn't been.
No, so,
and to follow up with John's statement, I think New Boston now, they've got a forester, but he's only on call if they need him for
A
a
job.
day.
well, that's the
Bring
way
him in.
ours,
They need him
Town does
for
some-
3 days.
I
They
think
bring
that's
him in
how
for
ours
3 days.
works.
They're
And that
not-
might be the way ours works, but
It
we're
is, he
ignorant
doesn't get, I
to the-
have a
situation.
breakout,
Right, I think we as a board are ignorant to the way that, you know,
it works,
that system works.
yeah.
You know? So maybe
And
we can
and
get
the board
the,
has always been that way for
maybe we
15,
can
20
get
years.
the chair of the Conservation Commission to come in and just explain a
I
little bit
have a
about that article.
breakout of,
At earliest convenience, doesn't have to be next week, but
No.
just a 5 minute.
Well, they're
word.
also, they're meeting next Wednesday, which, Lori had expressed an interest in if you have next Wednesday, you wanna sit in with them. To see, cause they could gladly, I spoke to Andy and reached out and said that you were interested, and he was pretty happy that another person, but just I think the, connection between us
Yeah.
would be a big thing too.
Mhm. Yeah, a little fluid,
Sure,
absolutely.
connection we haven't had.
On different note, I meant to ask before with the gravel, anything on?
No, I asked Chip today, because
Okay.
Chip wasn't here when you talked to me on Friday, And I didn't know if plans had been submitted to him, so I had to ask the question. But plans had not been submitted to him. So with that being said, I had told Chip that we would have to send out a cease and desist.
And I thought our agreement was then they were supposed to end by this March.
Well, March 31st, but I didn't, March 31st was Saturday, but when John and I talked Friday about that as well, Chip wasn't here, so I couldn't say he did or didn't have a plan submitted.
Yep, okay.
Because he could have without me knowing.
Right.
And the other
But I
thing
found out today is it did not.
And the other thing is, again, is the chief coming in again next week?
Yes, you're gonna see him next week, because you're gonna have a non-public with him with the Kalia representatives are here. Because the on-site is
Also
taking
the-
place.
The camera contract.
What is that?
Oh,
The
Kalia, so,
Oh.
so Kalia's coming in, you'll have a brief non-public with the Kalia team. And then they have a public portion that I was sent a notice that I'll post, that there's public information if somebody wants to come in and ask. That's the on-site part.
Okay.
The planning board.
Yeah.
Wasn't there, some kind of thing going on with the planning board? There
Well, there
was
was
a site walk
a
on
site walk,
Saturday.
okay.
I went down.
Oh.
I went down to it. It was there in Riverdale.
Okay.
And the people that live in the area are really upset.
As far as,
Well, they've cut off all the woods. I mean, the guy bought whatever, I don't know if it's 10 acres or what, but he's clear cut it, and now he's gonna put, I think, 4 metal buildings in there, and the people that live in these old homes that have been there for hundreds of years are looking at,
whereabouts is this, Riverdale?
Riverdale.
right there. You
Remolads.
turn in just like Mom's and go
Yep.
out straight, it's straight right in front of you.
Oh,
Yeah, it's down in Remolads.
At a,
Oh.
It's down
That's
where
what it is,
Granite
it's
State,
Remolads, Granite
yeah,
State.
over the hill.
Down over the back.
well, it's not, it's right straight, it's right behind that little red house.
Yeah, exactly, that's
Yeah,
the
it
thing,
goes down
straight-
over the bank,
straight,
all the
yeah,
way into that hollow.
That,
That's
that
all
whole-
part of his.
that's
get
all,
cut off.
it's all cut off.
A lot of that's been cut off for a
Well,
while.
I'm saying
No, he
dirt,
just-
dirt get cut off.
Yeah, he
too.
cut off the rest of it.
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
They're quite upset.
I don't honestly follow the planning, I don't have time to follow everybody.
I only, because I went a couple weeks ago, I
Yep.
went and sat in, I was
Yep.
kind of interested in it, so when I went down, I realized it must have been 30,
But
35
from
people.
what I understand,
that live in
a
Riverdale,
couple
Pulled.
pulled and there was
Mm.
drug.
Right, so we're both-
Not surprised.
I don't know what happened, like I said, I don't know. Did they have a
The
quorum
minutes.
for the site walk?
I'll get the minutes on it.
The planning board went,
Right,
all went down,
they all
yeah.
went down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You know, that's under the zoning, I think that's a historic district. So I don't know where, I said to them, I was asked some questions, I said, I really don't know it without going and looking at the maps. You'd have to
Right.
go up to the town office and take a look.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm not sure if the river's the boundary for that historic
District.
district,
Mm,
or if there's some on the other side, I don't know that.
yeah,
I don't know, you'd have to go look.
yeah, I'm just trying to think, I know that the Riverdale Village is explained in zoning, but I'm not sure
It's
that
under
it's,
historic
it,
district.
right, it's under the village districts.
Really, yeah,
Because they talk about,
Clinton Grove. and-
yeah.
thought
But I
they
don't
were-
know that it's actually depicted on a map. I know when they did the historical
don't know. I
overlays,
told-
those are on the map.
Right. And
But
they
I
asked-
don't know where it
That,
extends.
that was asked too, and I said, might wanna look into that, but that's about a year
Yeah,
process.
'cause it's
to
gotta
get
go through
that.
zoning. It's gotta go through town meeting.
Right, so I said, that's about a year out,
Yeah,
so if you think that's something you wanna do, it might help you down the road, I don't know if it'll help you with this at all, but.
correct. Yeah.
Any other business? I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
I-
Okay,
Good night.